Welcome back. Sorry, I feel like I was going to say something else
Welcome
and then I just
back,
stopped.
cut off.
Welcome back
It's
to
oh.
From Under the Bed. Oh, I was leaving it
know,
open for you.
I didn't know you were doing that. I'm sorry. I was like, welcome back. It's spooky season.
It's spooky
but
season.
But also, we're from under the bed. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we're at.
It's our final episode of spooky season.
Yeah.
But also, it's a spooky life. So
it's always spooky season here.
That's kind of a moot point.
Under the bed.
A cow's opinion.
It's moo.
It's moo. What are we covering today, Stevie?
Casper.
Which is which
boo.
What okay, I feel like most
ghost.
people are going to be like, "Oh wow, they're covering that movie? Like that's fun." Like that's
it's a
cute.
Halloween season
It is,
movie.
but it's like you never hear it. Do you see it on lists a lot, like when you're looking at like top Halloween movies?
I don't know.
I don't.
I watch it. I feel like I watch it every year.
I'm going to be real with you. I don't think of Casper ever, and except for when Stevie, I mean, except for like I like Casper. I'm not being like, I never think of this, how dare, but like I never like am like, oh, it's Halloween, like,
yeah,
you know?
Well, they have a Halloween party, there's a ghost, it's family
Hocus
friendly
Pocus in a different house. It's not, but it's kind of like Hocus Pocus a little bit.
I was like, oh yeah, maybe no.
And Halloween, you know, it's similar how Hocus Pocus is the same as Halloween Town 2. To me, because they both have a dance party where they're like, or
they have a Halloween
where it
party.
feels like they're cursed or where they're stuck, or even though that's not what happened, it just feels the same, and it's not. I think just a Halloween party.
It's a Halloween movie.
Is very much what makes
You're like
it
feels like Halloween Town and Hocus Pocus, but it's not a Halloween movie.
No, it is. But I meant like an iconic one, or it's one that's like, it is iconic.
You know what?
But
it's iconic to me.
It should be on more stuff.
It's really good.
I had not seen this in so long. I don't even remember I've seen all of it back when I was a kid. I told Stevie my I'm not going to say trauma, but like a little bit of just
your memories.
I think it was like my mom wanted to join her friend at like some type of like workout class at the gym or something, and they had the like daycare thing set up for kids, right? And my mom's friend, who was like our family friend still to this day, is like, you know, oh yeah, like Sarah can stay there, like, well, we're doing like actual adult workout stuff, right? And I remember it was like at that special age that I was at, that I stayed at for quite a while, where I just could not be parted from my mother. And I was like,
I feel that.
No, like I was so upset. But one day I remember being handed over to the person and like screeching, and she was
How
like,
old were you?
I think I was probably like 3 or something.
Oh, so you were really
young. Like it wasn't like 7 or like by then I was able to.
You were
like,
watching it? Well, it came out that year.
Yeah, because it was 19.
I mean, I was 3 when it came out.
I was
in 95. So you were
I would
like,
have been
wouldn't you have been
out for a few years by
1?
then? Yeah, in 95 I was 1.
Yeah.
So I think I was probably like 3, 4.
By the time it was on DVD.
I was old enough.
DVD.
I was still being handed over a counter, so I feel like I was 3, but old enough to like walk. But I was like, no, please, and I didn't put up a fight. I didn't put up hissy fits in public usually. So like, is hissy fit even a word people use?
Hissy fit?
Yeah, like I would never throw a tantrum, and so I feel like I just remember I was like, no. But then finally, this has a point. One day I finally was like, I think I tried it again. Like I told my mom, I'll be fine, or I'll do it, and I was like a big brave girl. And I was in there, and I told Stevie that they put on Casper. That is my memory connection with Casper, that we were watching it, sitting around it, and one of the kids, I guess it was the same. That doesn't really make sense. Why would it be the same group of kids?
Like every time?
Yeah, or like this second time, unless it was like.
It could
maybe
be
it was
because
a session thing they
like
went to.
Your mom was at the gym, right?
Yeah.
So maybe like the same parents went to a
thing.
class.
It was probably
like,
a class.
at the same
That's
time.
probably wakes
most people.
Me, I'm like, how could it be a class? Because no wonder we tried multiple times.
And if they're moms,
you know?
I feel like they're on like a schedule of like, we go all the time on this day, and then their kids go to the daycare.
And it would make
like,
more sense too if my mom was like, we'll try again. Like I'll miss this class, but I'll go try again the other one. So I remember the little kid was like, Sarah's not crying this time, to the teacher or whoever, the daycare, and she was like, yeah, shh. Because I was like holding on by a fragility that was
she's like, please don't point it out.
But I remember enjoying, because I think I got distracted because I was like, look how cute, like the ghosts, like I liked how they looked, and so that's my literal fragment of a connection. Besides the fact that I personally would watch Casper Meets Wendy, that was the one that was always on TV that I would watch. So I'm familiar with Casper and his. And Tootie, we talked about that.
Yeah, like the cartoon. Yeah. I never really watched the cartoon ones. Casper,
I just recognize him.
For me, is like one of those movies that I would always watch on VHS. I have it on VHS. And I still watch it all the time. Like, I remember it very well because I watch it all the time. And it pulls at my heartstrings. And it's so good. And I feel like I reference it a lot apparently, because you're always like, I told you I've like never
Yeah,
seen
you're like, you know that part?
I'm like, you know Casper,
no.
and you're like, no.
I do remember like on Tumblr or stuff, I would see those gift sets of him, and I was like, oh, where does this from? And I thought it was like from a different like 80s, 90s movie, because it had that vibe, like when they're dancing.
Because he's a boy.
Yeah, and it looks like they're from that time, like some little, and again, they're in a movie together at another time. So it's like, they're just, I don't know. And so I was always like, what is this? I would have never thought, oh, hey, this is, or even if it had said Casper, I wouldn't have known he was Casper.
You're like this is a different
It's
thing.
A different, yeah. I was like, what?
Yeah. I love it. And with Casper and Wendy, I only have an image of them like running through the streets trick-or-treating. That's all I remember.
It's because she literally wears that big like red hood.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
it's so cute.
Isn't her hat red too?
Yeah, it's like, no, it's like a huge, it's like an absolute,
oh, it's just
like,
a hood.
Yeah, she's like a little girl.
Cute.
It's so cute. And it's Hilary Duff.
Wait, there's sirens in the background. But yeah, it is Hilary Duff. You're right. You're right. But this is Christina Ricci, and I love her. Loved her then. Love her now.
And
loved
she
Kat.
had already been.
She was so cool.
She had already been Wednesday Adams at this point, right? Yeah. So she is already like was scouted out as being like.
What year did that come out? I don't know.
We were talking about that because we're like you were like she's kind of like the Winona Ryder of.
They're very
like,
similar.
She's got a very aesthetically spooky vibe, but like a youthful version of it, you know?
Yeah, this was 4 years after Addams Family.
That's wild.
It is wild because I feel like she
was really
well in
young.
the first one, yeah, and then
like
the second
8 or
one,
something. Like she was young.
She was older in the second one.
Yeah, that you're right. And
obviously she was older,
right? But I forgot. But I think of the second one all the time because it's just so all
the
good.
The bathing suit.
Yeah. Oh my god.
She's like homicide.
Right. Like I feel like it's like there's so many iconic things from the second one. It's like Wednesday.
Aww.
You know. If you hear static, it's Beanie.
That's Beanie, my cat. She's a black cat, very festive. And my other cat, Calico, also orange, black, and white.
You see,
more festivity.
She's like hello.
But yeah.
But
anyway,
this is Casper, and it felt like the right end of like the October spooky season because I just had not seen it, and I was like,
I love it so much.
A very simple plot, but also very like I feel like it just kind of goes in a little snake. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Well, so the story is about I was gonna say a single girl, a girl and her but her dad, a ghost therapist.
You say that very casually, and I remember being like, "Wait, what?"
But yeah, so her mom passed away when she was younger, and they've been Beanie.
You are just like in the mood to like.
She's like, this is my podcast now, actually.
Hello.
Yeah. So her dad passed away when she was. Her mom passed away when she was little, and so her dad just basically like travels around the country, getting in contact with ghosts and sort of like helping them pass on if they've got unfinished business.
It's like
and stuff
Ghost
like that.
Whisperer, but a job. You watched Ghost Whisperer?
A little bit. But I did.
The whole point was that when she talked to them, she had to figure out their unfinished business, and then they could cross
that
over.
makes sense.
So
I don't even know. I mean, I'm guessing they pay him, obviously. But
I know. I'm assuming it's each job, but like he's never encountered a real like corporeal ghost.
That's what we were talking about because when he does finally see Casper, which is like early on, he freaks out.
I was impressed with how soon it takes. I am glad. I think this movie needed to move fast
because
like that.
He was like, yay, because Casper knew that they were coming. He was excited. So he's like, how am I going to introduce myself?
I feel like this movie, like, I was almost afraid like it was going to be set up from the premise of like, they know there's they're truly feeling like they're haunted.
They're trying to,
and it's
find
like,
him.
even if like we know that the characters knew that there's a ghost there, like I still felt like it was going to take a long time for them to get it revealed. And I was like, that's pretty slow pacing for something that's like a kid's movie. You know what I mean? Like, even though it's not like a true scary movie, but I was like, that's kind of whatever. Very fast. All of that to say, Beanie's literally like, I'm losing my mind.
Beanie.
But true, it's like, it just moved fast. You want my love? Yeah.
How deep is your love? Beanie's like, please love me. But yeah, so.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, I just really like how fast it moves. Because you're just like, you get the setup. It's going. You find out that they're moving not moving, but they just like they travel across.
It's all about like their relationships with Casper and like Casper trying to just basically. Well, there's a lot going on. I still feel like
that's not resolved either. What? Like Casper does not move on.
Casper doesn't move on. He doesn't get his unfinished business.
We don't address his unfinished business. We don't address his uncles, which
like why?
Why do they have to stay? It's been. like a century.
But also, I guess they're not really his uncles, and how come they're there? I think they must have gotten the house after his dad passed away. I'm assuming, if I'm going to assume, that once his father passed away, because he's from like early 1900s, basically.
And so then
Casper.
maybe they lived there.
And so maybe they got it after their brother left, because his dad was pronounced like clinically insane, and I'm assuming after that.
They might not be related to him. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Does
unless
he even call them his uncles?
Yeah, he's like, those are my uncles or something like that.
Okay,
and I'm assuming they're just the ones that got the house afterwards, and then I kind of wish we do, as much as I love this movie, I do wish we had more information about them and how they got there, because we know about him. That's always our biggest critique of a movie. We're always just like, backstory.
Why didn't you give us more? Like, even just a sentence. Like, we don't need an entire flashback sequence. I just want to know something. Like, even when we're talking about his mom, we're like, I'm glad they have a sentence of mentioning her.
Like, yeah, that's like, my mom's dress.
Like, not because like everyone needs a mom in a story, or like things need to be like, well, where was she? You know, like, no, it's just that it's like, girl,
Beanie.
Sorry,
that's my cat.
That
Pretend
so
she's rubbing
funny.
up against you.
She literally.
Lie down. Good girl.
I can't.
No.
She's like, let me strut my butt.
I know.
I can't.
She's like, anyway.
That was so funny. I've never seen her do this. She's so inconsolable.
She does this every day, but clearly.
But she's like.
She's never done this in your presence.
No, well, she has, but like not when we're in the
middle
middle of doing something.
not when we were.
Usually, it's like if we're just like watching stuff.
Hello. I'm not gonna touch you though, because my face will get red.
She's so cute. But yeah, it's like what was I gonna say? What were we saying?
The uncles.
No, but how like they explain, like we just need a sentence essentially.
Yeah, I just wish that basically that the I just want all backstory. I want to know about the uncles. I want to know everyone who owned the house after Casper's dad. I want to know how it came into the hands of Kerrigan's father. Like, is she related to Casper? Is that like her? Ooh. Are the uncles related to her somehow? Like, are they her great uncles somehow? Like, I want to know how.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Or is it just like Casper's family sold the house, Kerrigan's father bought it, and then, or someone eventually, in that line.
Like, it probably might have calmed down to somebody at one point when they just like bought it or whatever.
I guess technically things like this are not relevant to the story.
Oh, that's what I was saying though. It's like obviously you don't need to mention a mom and something, but they do, like, at least they mention it. So it's like, well, at least he acknowledges. Other movies have done that too, where I'll be like, hello, can you had to have had some feelings about a mom that you had, or a wife or something, and like, I like it when a movie will even just mention it and be like, that was their mom's, and you're like, oh, thank you. No, nothing.
Like, flesh out the family.
Even if you don't know a single thing about them, I still want them to mention something, and I feel like they could have done that for another aspect of just like, well, he can't move on because he wants to stay here or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think his unfinished business had to do with his father, and then when his father left, he couldn't move on anymore, because the reason that he stayed was because of his dad. And then once his dad got taken to where he got taken because he was pronounced insane, Casper just stayed behind, and then he still had unfinished business, but then his dad left. So how does he get his business finished now? He knows his dad is gone, like, so why is it that he gets
it feels like a very because the whole time he is
Even
lonely.
her mom is
he's a lonely ghost, and the friendly ghost and the lonely ghost.
More like the lonely
and
ghost.
It's sad because he sees that they're like on TV that her dad does this business, because it's like a special, not a documentary, but like a special. And like, I was like, who cares this much about a man that's like, literally they're like, tell us what you think of your father's stuff, and she's like, what?
I'm assuming because most of the time it's not something that they're like, oh, this is just something that people do, because obviously there are mediums and stuff, but I feel like he's really one of the only people who calls themselves like the ghost therapist type of thing, because he's like, everybody needs like somebody to talk to.
They're not calling him like the gag that they have where it's like, bring the exorcist in, like bring the priest in, bring in the Ghostbusters. Like he's not even like, oh, we can talk to ghosts the way like Ed and Lorraine do. No,
he's literally like, even ghosts need somebody.
Yeah, like it's literally the Ghost Whisperer. It's lonely. Literally the show where she's like, let me talk to you.
Like, I'm here for you.
Like, let's talk about it. And she ends up crying because it's always emotional.
I know. I feel like every episode, memory that I have of that show is
she's literally at the end hearing their story, and she's like, and I'm like, I love it, because I feel like it's Jennifer Love Hewitt just being like, that's gorgeous.
That's nice.
I loved that show. It was so pure. Every episode ended and she's like, yay, my life. And it's like, It was like Gilmore. It was on the same set of Gilmore Girls. Like the little,
oh yeah, you told me
it was
that.
like the same lot, and I'm like, it had that feel. They're just like, let me go to the store. Walks across the square lot. But they what was I gonna say? Yeah, like I like it because he's like marketing it as like, listen, I'm just a therapist.
He's so calming too. He's like great,
and
also
Bill Pullman.
How does
Bill freaking Pullman? We haven't even addressed.
Okay,
him.
yeah. Well, Bill Pullman's her father.
Bill Pullman is the dad.
He really got into this because he was looking for his wife, and he's like, okay.
I was going to say, well, it's kind of, he does have an ulterior motive.
Because I was thinking, I'm like, was he a therapist first? Because he seems like he's a therapist. And I feel like he was a therapist, and then he was like, let me be a therapist for ghosts.
Yeah, does he get money?
And let me find my wife, because she clearly has unfinished business. Yeah. But if she did have unfinished business, wouldn't she be where they were? Like, why is he traveling to try to find her? Because where does he think her unfinished business is?
I know, maybe it's almost like he didn't believe it in the same way of how Casper is, where he, like, could see her like that. I think he thought not necessarily that she'd be tied to a place, but that it's like, I can learn how to find her and talk to her from other ghosts. Yeah. But also, one, it doesn't just mean that he's searching for if ghosts are real. He believes they're real. But he hasn't had any experience of actually contacting unless he has. And they just didn't show it.
Does, like we were saying when we were watching it, because I'm like, when he first sees Casper and then he like freaks out. And Kat doesn't even believe in ghosts, even though we were like, that's her whole dad's career. But he so definitely, he talks to them more through like tools of like pendulums and stuff like that. And so he hasn't encountered one that like has shown themselves in that way. So this is I was saying, I'm like, they must be really powerful, because in order for them to show themselves like that clearly, then they must be really powerful, because he's clearly been, I don't know, talking to other types of spirits and helping them move on.
And it's weird too, because when they finally do show his wife, like obviously she's a physical,
she's like an
woman
angel
form, yeah, like an angel that's like
she's
been like I've moved on, everything's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he sees that on the TV, and then that's when he's like, he like kind of becomes infatuated. He gets an instant crush on Kat, is what it is, and so he's just
the reason he wants him to come is he wants them to come is for her dad, because he's like, oh, he helps ghosts, and so he's like, cool, I'm gonna put this on Kerrigan's TV, and hopefully she sees it. Oh yeah, and sends the people over, because she's been trying everybody. Yeah,
it's like, this is like such an interesting.
We should go over Kerrigan.
There's a lot of openings. There's the two boys at the beginning that get scared, so it's like an intro to showing that there's ghosts in this house, because this house looks like a Willy Wonka Spy Kids Tim Burton house. Or castle, whatever, mansion, estate. It's huge.
So cool.
It's so cool looking.
The doorways, they don't even look like normal doors.
It looks like a child designed it.
They're all wonky. I just want places to look more like that now.
It makes more sense now, because his dad was an inventor.
I understand that things have to be standardized, because it makes it easier for people to get things like doors and whatever, and everything has to sort of be the same size. But I'm like, can't we just all have more like customized doors? Yes. Like even the doors that are like rounded at the top make me so happy, you know.
It's like
Hobbit doors.
You could, it would either cost a lot to get it,
exactly, and I get it,
to replace it,
but also why? Anyways, not why. I know why, but still. Anyway,
I'm still angry about it though. No, but like it's a cool looking place. Yeah, you see that it's haunted. Then the next thing is that you see that this woman who is very Meredith coded. She's very like from the Parent Trap.
And you said also the woman from.
Oh, she reminded me I haven't even seen all of American Horror Story Coven, but she reminded me of when they wear like their sunglasses. And
she had that outfit on,
black sun hat, and I'm like, what?
She always wears black.
Yeah, always, even her bathrobe. She's like, anyway, she was a mood though. I liked her. Like she portrayed her really well.
I love her voice. It's so raspy, and I thought my whole life that her last name was Kerrigan, and it's her first
what
name.
Is her last name again?
It's like Crichton or something.
Yeah, because Kerrigan's, I was like, it sounds like such a rich person's name.
I know, you literally were like, no, that makes sense, and I was like, wait.
That's why I was like,
it just doesn't seem like he would call her by her first name. You know what I mean?
The
like
Dibs guy,
Dibs is her, because his last name has got to be Dibs, and obviously she probably would.
But
call
it always felt like he has such a butler energy.
He has lawyer, like the goon sidekick.
Dibs. It's like a Cruella de Vil kind of thing.
He is her lawyer, right?
He is her lawyer.
I thought he was just like her sidekick who like
forged stakes in the game.
Because she was like, I told you should have just forged the signature.
Well, that's why I was like, is he also her like, not lawyer, but like I was like, I don't know, because she calls him Dibs, which feels like a butler situation, like Jeeves, like, and it's like a British butler, but he's more there. Like Doctor
Jasper
Who energy
and Horace in one to
right,
Cruella
your
de
henchmen.
Vil.
And put into one, he said.
Yeah, they're like, honestly, if those two characters were one man, it would be him. But yeah, you're saying.
Just Doctor Who energy.
Yeah, he does have
kind of like
Eric Idle. We love Eric Idle.
Fourth Doctor kind. No, fifth Doctor.
Fourth, yeah, with the curly hair.
Yeah. So he's a merge of a few doctors, honestly.
Yeah.
But he, so he's like her ride or die kind of until actually die. But
it's more like, it's more like he's like, fine, I guess I'm being threatened and I have to be your henchman.
I was rooting for those crazy kids for a hot second. I was
like, so are they going to be in love?
I know,
and I'm
like, they kind of have some chemistry.
Toxic.
We love to see it. But they're...
we love to see it.
They're like in a not a reading of the will, but kind of. What do they call it when they're like?
Yeah, it is. So it's the guy who goes Bueller, whose real name I forget, but he's like the guy who's like, here, this is what your father left you. Yeah, he left stuff. Her dad passed away, and she's like expecting him to give her all this money.
And she's kind of evil. She's like, I held that hand.
I held that clammy hand for 2 days. 2 days, that's it. And then the dad left everything to his pets. Because he's like, the rattlesnake gets this. The whatever pet gets this. And it was like, she's like, and you get this house. And she's like, that's it?
Which is
an
like,
estate?
I know. Which is funny.
It's a great house.
Right? It's a big estate, too. Also, it's just like what? But also it's reminding me of, oh my gosh. What's the Ryan Johnson movie? Oh my gosh. With Chris Evans and
the one where
Knives Out. I was
like the one where he's wearing the sweater.
Yeah, yes. It reminds me of Knives Out with that whole thing where he just like doesn't leave anything to his family.
Man, I haven't seen that movie forever. Are they making a second one?
It's like, but it's not a second one of them. It's like following Daniel Craig's. It's called Onion something.
That's beautiful.
What is it called? The Onion Layers.
The Shrek.
It's something about onion. Well, this is annoying, but anyway, it's something about onion. Something, onion. Something. But yeah, they're I brought that up for a reason. Oh yeah, because he was just like, listen, you would become too destructive with too much money. Here's an estate to just like help you out.
Yeah.
And it's like, she's clearly just like, wants all the money. They're like, she's pissed, and then they throw she like throws the deed to the house in the fireplace that's like in the meeting room. And he like, is like, no, wait. And then he looks, and he sees that there's like the fire is igniting on the deed to show that there's a treasure.
I think it was just on the back, and she like didn't flip it over, and it was like
something like that. Yeah, it illuminated it from the other way.
Yeah. It was a poem, which reminded me of Lord of the Rings when he throws the envelope in the fire, even though it's not even like that at all. But
reminds me of National Treasure anytime a secret writing comes up.
Yeah,
I'm like, there it is. The Secret Lies with Charlotte. Dare I say?
Man, I love it.
We knew it. You knew it. But yeah, so
they see
that.
the back of the thing. Like, and then she's like, oh my God, grab it. And so the whole thing is on fire. And she's like, I knew there was treasure in there. And then that's when it cuts to
Which is wild because in my
Casper.
head, I forgot that she had the house. Like, I forgot that she owned it. The only thing that's keeping her from searching are the ghosts.
Yeah, there's ghosts in there. And everyone she gets to get rid of the ghosts. Because she gets there, they meet Casper, and they're like, oh
Which is, again, the speediness of it, I love. They get there, it's not like this, is there someone here? It's like, yo, I'm here.
Casper is he truly is friendly because no matter who comes into the house, he's like, hey.
He's like, I'll be your friend. What's up?
But, but he always hesitates showing himself because obviously he knows that people are going to run away. And so he shows himself to them and they freak out. And then after that, there's a bunch of, they get like a priest to come in. That doesn't work. They get one of the Ghostbusters to come in.
Yeah, that was
Dan.
We're like, this movie's for the parents too. There was so many references that I was like, this is for parents that are watching.
Exactly.
And there's language and stuff that you can tell it's one of those movies. It's kind of like not quite like a Beetlejuice situation. There were moments that made me think of Beetlejuice, but it reminds me when I would watch that.
More adult.
Yeah, and it felt like a kid's movie to me as a kid. But then there'd be stuff, and I was like, I don't get this. And they're like, yeah, it's adult.
It really, I feel like if you were gonna compare it.
Although
something,
Casper in himself is so
childlike, yeah, it's interesting because it's that mix of like they use adult words. There's a lot of death. There's murder. There's like adult themes, but then the character,
and then it's also the character himself is so children's childlike.
Yeah, children's cartoon.
He's
character.
Not even like. He's so cute that he's not cool looking in the way that if I were an adult, you'd be like, that's a cool concept. Let me just go see it. Like I couldn't see myself being our age and this coming out. And me actively seeking it because I don't have kids. Like, I'm not a kid. So it's just interesting how back then it was like hey, this is a kid movie, but also it's not.
But I think that kids movies were different.
I feel like it became a family affair. Like it was a thing where you went to go see something, even when it was just.
They were more adult
Disney
then.
movies used to be that way too. Like it was kind of like a thing. Like when a new movie came out, everyone went to go see it.
It just yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
there were less movies too. There's less movies.
Less ways to watch
less money
movies.
to buy.
You have to go to the theater.
Less ways. You're right.
So you're like, well, this came out. Let's go watch it. The kids can see it.
It's Friday night. Let's go.
We're like, let's set the stage. It's Friday night.
I was thinking.
We have 2 kids.
What are we going to do?
Go.
Take them, let's
grab
go.
pizza first.
Aww.
No, I want to do that.
I
hope they re-release this in the theater. So
let's go watch Blue's Clues movie in theaters.
Okay, here's the thing, though. I do feel like kids' movies back then were more adult, or at least adult-friendly, because they're like, well, adult has to go see this. But now it's kind of like with like the Blues. Well, first of all, the Blues Clues movies for us. Let's be real. But also, I feel like that movie is gonna be definitely like you were saying, where it's like this is gonna have child humor, but Casper and like family movie, maybe not. Because it's not like for like 4, 5 and under. It's like for families.
I didn't feel like there was jokes in this that were too below. Like we're like, that was some dumb humor. Like even the physical comedy wasn't like just like pies silly, in the face where it's like, okay, they slipped and fell 5 times. It's not funny anymore. Like it was very like gag worthy, but it was more of like Three Stooges instead of like, I don't know. It was different. So I was like, okay.
It's very interesting. That's a whole other thing that I just want to now do a deep dive on, and like family movies and the difference between that and like a children's movie. Because I would constitute this, or like I would label this as
a children's movie feels like a preschool
movie.
Situation or something that's
like
very
Blue's Clues,
like Dora situation. But yeah, I don't know. So it's like, they're what was I gonna say? They made a lot of cameos, a lot of references. There's like the Dan Aykroyd cameo.
I always think of that part in Space Jam when he sees what's his face, Bill Murray, and he's like, I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this picture.
Oh, that's funny.
It's like from Ghostbusters.
That's funny.
But yeah.
They really were a time in.
See, another one where they had like. That movie too was like it was less different, than Casper, but like
I feel like
still fun for the adults.
It's just interesting because Casper, I don't know, it's still fun time for everybody.
A family movie,
dare I say. But yeah, so they're like, okay, we got to get this out of here. Nothing works. Then that's when Casper's like, let me send this little commercial, make sure, because she like he meets them and he knows what they're trying to do, and he's like, my uncles just got back. The Three Stooges literally are like, well, here, and so they're like, well, they're not going away anytime soon. Which
the Three Stooges,
right? Which is
like their personalities. I didn't even think about that.
Right, they really are.
Yeah,
but also. There's got to be more evil ghosts out there besides them, and yet it feels like they're the most problematic. Yeah, like ghosts everyone in the world.
They bring. At one point, Kerrigan's like, "Forget it, just tear the house down." And then they can't haunt a pile of rubble, and literally the entire 30 guys run away because.
And what did they do? Show their guts?
They just show up.
Yeah, like they freaked out so badly. I guess it's like other ghosts literally don't have the time. They're like, we're just leaving.
Again, they're literally like, we're so powerful that we just show ourselves, and then you leave.
Where have y'all been?
We run this place.
We run this place. But then, so she's like given up, but she's like staying in town because she doesn't want to be there. So she's at a hotel or an inn or something. And that's when Casper makes the TV in her room show the commercial for a ghost therapist situation. She's like,
I gotta go, Dibs. I gotta call this.
I guess she was on the phone with Dibs.
She was I think it was Dibs. I'm assuming. I feel like she never talked to anybody else.
It was funny. I don't even know what she was saying. It was just like her being like, I don't want to stay here.
I need to get out of blah, blah, blah. And then,
she was talking about, she's like, don't you have, she was ordering food at one point. She was like, fish? Is there not a cow here? Or something. She said something like that. I was like, what?
There should be. It's new. Well, I guess it's Maine and there's like a fishing town.
Maybe that was the joke where she's like, all you serve is fish? Is there not any cows in the land? It was so funny.
Friendship, Maine.
Oh, it was cute. But so then she's like, ooh, a good idea. So then she hires him, I guess, and they come across the country.
Yeah, they're literally like, cool. And then poor Kat has been, like we said, she's been lugged from school to school. She's like, I've been in 9 schools over the last year. I can't make any friends. Like, can we just stay in one place? And he's like, it's okay. He calls her Bucket. I don't know why.
It's cute though.
And he's like,
I do like that. I do like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so they get there and she's like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go find my room, Dad. And I'm like, girl's brave. She's literally like,
I'm kind of over this, and I'm just.
But she doesn't believe in ghosts, so she's just like, whatever.
True. But see, that's why I thought she's gonna find her room. It was gonna be like a long process. Mm-hmm. She gets to her room, very cute room, very cool
Casper's room.
Casper just shows up.
Well, yeah, he hides a little bit because he's trying to get the nerve to talk to her.
He's like, she's here, she's in my house.
And then
a girl's on my bed. It was so pure.
Like, oh my God. I know. And then she throws like a pair of socks behind her, and it gets stuck in his mouth, and he spits it out, and it hits her in the head. And then she's like, that's when she freaks out, and she turns around and she faints because he's like, hey. And then she screams, and then her dad comes back, which he is a girl dad, like you said. When we're watching it, you're like,
he's always, I know, I always associate him with Independence Day. Girl dad there, even though he's the president.
Even though he's the president.
But he's such a girl dad. Yeah, he's like, what? He's like, cat. Like, she screams, and he's like, cat. And he runs in, like, oh my God.
I know, he's like right there.
Literally there. And then he sees, she tells him, like, there is a ghost. And he's like,
oh, whatever.
He went from literally being a non-believer to literally describing a ghost in detail within literally 5 minutes.
I know, he truly was just like,
he was almost like, I don't think you saw a ghost. He was like, I don't even believe you saw it. Yeah.
It's like the thing that parents do where they're like, nothing under the bed.
Right. Oh, that was so funny. Yeah.
Like, he literally did that.
It's like in Monsters, Inc. and the bloopers. When he's like, there's nothing in here. And then she comes like, it's always watching.
No monster in here. Well, now there is.
Oh, well, now there is.
But yeah, then he opens the closet and he's like, see? But he already saw Casper, and then his face when he freaks out. His scream, his face just like goes to one side.
He's so like, cute. I love him. Moment. Oh my gosh.
And again, Casper's like so apprehensive. He's like, hi. And then he picks Cat up and runs across.
Which I was like, this is such Haunting a Hill House energy when it's like they're holding him and running. But it's just so funny. He just slings her over his, he's
like running around. She's like, Dad, please. That's when she's more calm. And she's like, I can walk,
She's like, I'm okay. And he's like, what?
And she's like, Dad, please don't. Well, when she first comes to them, she's like, I saw a ghost. And he's like, honey, please. And she's like, Dad, please don't think I'm as crazy as I thought you were.
Because that's so funny.
She's like, I swear this time.
Like, here he was right there,
Yeah.
So they're like leaving, and it's like everything kind of happens at once too.
They run into a closet, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna go fight. I'm gonna go look at the ghosts, and that's when the uncles get back, and then they have to battle the uncles right away.
Right away, the uncles are there. It's not like a preamble of like, we got to know Casper and ghosts are great. Here are the uncles. It was literally like, ah! And then he's like, oh great, here come my uncles.
And they still think Casper's. They don't know that they can trust him. Yeah.
That's true. And so they're like battling these ghosts, which like goes on for a little bit, and then what happens after that?
They're like trying to kill him, and then he comes out with a plunger, and they're like, on guard, whatever. It's like a cute scene where like, he's whatever, they're and fighting. Then he sucks them up into a vacuum.
Right. Okay.
Which again,
they possess him for like a second.
Yeah, they possess.
And then
that is funny. He turns into like Clint Eastwood and Mel Gibson.
I can't see more cameos.
Yeah, a whole bunch of people.
Lots of people. Apparently, I read on the trivia that Steven Spielberg was supposed to be one of the cameos.
Makes sense.
He was like, he's
from Maine,
and they cut it. Then they cut it, and he was like, good, because I can't act. And I was like, that's so cool. It's funny. Great director.
You said, what did you say?
Steven Spielberg.
I thought you said Stephen King. I was thinking about Stephen King. I don't know, but Steven Spielberg is the producer.
Literally, when you said he's from Maine,
Your face was like,
I almost went.
Where is Stephen King?
I don't know, but
Stephen King.
I know, but when you said that, I literally almost went, like Stephen King. Like, I wish I had said it, because you would have been like,
that is what I said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know where Steven. I just thought he was a California baby.
That makes sense.
Know.
A baby.
Baby. I don't know. A California baby. But I can't.
He's like, good. I can't act. What do you mean? He acts in the queue to the ET ride. First of all, that's not even acting. That's real.
That's, the way you went
ET is actually there.
It doesn't sound like you're saying like the wait line. It sounds like you're being like Q to the ET. I'm like, I can't.
Q to the E to the T to the line.
I can't. That's real life. I can't. But there's cameos, la-di-da. And then,
la-di-da. He's from Ohio. Cincinnati.
Hey, what are we going to do in Ohio? I'm pretty sure, like, they get him in the vacuum, and then they have, like, a moment to calm down and, like, be like, what is going on?
This is another reason why I'm just, like, I know that the Ghostbusters thing was a cameo, but they definitely would have been able to take these ghosts.
That's what you're saying. And then Dan Aykroyd's like, oh, it was canon. I'm sorry. What?
Explain, Dad.
Explain. You just said that because it's cool, which it is. But honestly, also,
it's nice to know they're in the same universe.
I know that is kind of cute. But also, he could have handled it. But it's fine.
Well, he did go by himself.
True. Hey, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
But then Kat's dad got them with a normal vacuum. You know what I'm saying? Anyway,
he is a therapist. Can do wonders. But
so then, the next day, Kat comes downstairs to the kitchen and
is that really the next scene? That's wild. That he's like,
well, her and her dad were like, oh, you're okay, and then they like went to bed.
Yeah, it's like they kind of are just there's no moment of like,
well, he's still like, I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Yeah, but he's also like, are we because it's like, I'm a therapist here to like to talk to them, but like he knows they're not gonna like kill him now, I guess, because they're just like, they don't have a moment of like, do we have a truce? We're staying
maybe
here.
He's just kind of like, they're in there and he doesn't know if they're gonna get out of the vacuum, which obviously they're, whatever. I feel like he's like, they're safe. We're safe because they're in the vacuum.
But then it's the next morning is whenever she's going to school, and they're all like,
well, they go to the kitchen, and then Casper's like,
wait,
let me please don't scream. I'm gonna make you some food, and she's like freaking out with her
Christina
Ricci eyes.
Right, and then she's making her the food. It's cute. He keeps the pulp from going into the orange
think about
juice.
that a lot when he pours the juice through his hand and then throws
I think about that a lot
at the wall.
You know how I associate pulp with that Even Stevens episode.
Oh yeah.
We all have. I think I've talked about it last time.
You did.
It's great.
What's his face?
It comes up a lot.
The guy, his name.
Tom,
the nerd,
Tom from Even Stevens.
Yeah. But he also that also reminds me of the scene from Matilda where she's making breakfast too. For some reason, it's got that same vibe.
It kind of goes with it too when she later on is asking about her mom and saying like, we'll get to that, but like,
oh yeah,
she's saying like, I remember her making breakfast downstairs, or I can hear her. She gave out such. Oh, we'll get to it. Get some specific memories, but he makes her eggs, right, and then
and then her dad comes down.
And they're having a tender moment. They're having a tender moment.
It's really cute because when she first comes downstairs, she has a tiny handheld vacuum.
She's I forgot.
She's like, in case they come out. They're just going to get sucked into that.
But it's funny because they might. But they're having like a tender moment. And then that's when her dad comes out and he's like, yeah, we were just battling his uncles.
And then they're talking. And then all of a sudden you hear you see all this wind. It's like a tornado basically coming through. And then it's the uncles that are coming through.
They're like
doing
the
and it's like
the fair.
And they're like, oh my god, they're coming, and they basically just like sit at the table.
They're like, we're here to cause something.
Oh, they're just here,
and they're like, anyway.
But they're wreaking havoc.
Yeah,
eating.
Yeah. Oh.
But then the food just like.
The dad is just like
falls through them.
The
and
table
it's really gross
too. It's like the bottom of the table, and
And then Kat's like, well, anyway, she gets into the fight with one of the uncles. Remember, they're yelling at each other.
Oh my gosh! Oh yeah.
She's like, drop dead. He's like, too late.
I can't. And then when he's like, you're gonna need to go to school, and she's like, or you're gonna be late for school, and she's like, yeah, and you just hear him mocking her. Yeah, you're gonna be late for school, or like he's like, your school thing, you're gonna be late for.
But funny. I like that immediately. She's like, not scared.
I know. She's like, do you want to go?
Yeah.
But I just love the dad. That Bill Pullman is just like, that school thing you're gonna be late for. Like just casually calling it like not just school. It's like that
she's
thing,
like, oh yeah, I guess.
Gonna be late for it, kind of. I don't know. So she's leaving. What was I gonna say?
When she goes to school.
She goes to school. We have in a moment too where she sees a cute boy and a mean girl.
Yeah.
Who are presumably together.
I don't know, or are they brother and sister? I can't tell.
They're not brother and sister.
I don't know.
I think if anything, they're friends. Like they scheme together, but he's doing it because he feels like he has to. So maybe they are related.
Yeah, because they're both like. My only thought process is they're both blonde, and they don't like hold hands. They don't kiss. They don't. You're do right. Anything
There's never
like
a moment of her also being kind of like, so you can be my date to the prom instead, or to the party. And instead, it's just her being like, I need you to do this for me, and he's like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
So
that's the only reason I would think that.
Because we see her life at school is that. They can't have what is it? They can't have a party at the
so the school gym has asbestos, so they're just like we're gonna we can't have the Halloween party there, and then I guess that we're gonna have it at that girl's house, and she's like rich, I guess.
I guess that would have been cool to see her.
And I know.
But then the brother's not in that. The brother, I'm just calling him that now.
He's her brother in our hearts.
He's not in that class, right? Or is he?
Yeah, he's sitting with her.
So why wouldn't he be like, it's
I know.
my house too? So I don't know. Maybe they're just friends.
Unless she's like,
they
or is it like Sharpay and... But they're brother and sister.
They're twins.
See? Yeah. It might be the same.
Or maybe it's like that thing where like, they're just a part of the same friend group, like the popular kids, and it's just like, he's like... to be kind of like Breakfast Club where he's like we run in the same circles, so we're kind of, and it's like we don't have to be just because we do that doesn't mean but anyway, I don't know. Point is that she gets bummed out because everyone's like, wait. Because they're introducing Christina.
They're like, yeah, they're making fun of her because
people are so mean in this universe. I don't understand.
They call her up to the front of the class and they're just like, he's like, okay, tell us about yourself, the teacher, and she's like, my name is Kat, blah, blah, and they're like yawning.
I know, and then they're like, heckle. I don't know.
And yeah, and then she's like, well, anyway, I live in the Crichton, whatever the place is called, which is like Kerrigan, whatever. And then they were like, what?
That you and they're like, what?
And they're like, you live there?
Which is again wild like, because I feel like really you need a permanent address to attend school, or like you need to be able to give a billing address. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you give what district you're in. And it's just funny that how is that working that they're legally allowed to live? I don't understand.
Right? They're just like, we're in town.
They're leasing it maybe. Maybe they set it up so it's like they're renting it out. So it's kind of like, that could make sense. I don't know.
But meanwhile, Casper is tying all the kids' shoelaces together.
Which is glorious payoff.
He followed her to school.
I love it. And yeah, so she's like, okay. And she's like kind of excited, I guess, because it's like,
yeah, it was really cute because she was like, actually, I really like it. And it's really cool once you're in there. And it's not like it's kind of like, not run down, but she's like, it's kind of, I don't know. But it's actually really nice in there. And they're like, the little kid. He's like, Mr. B, check it.
Mr. Curtis. Yeah, he's like, Mr. Curtis. And I'm like, they're acting so cool with him now. They're like, anyway, Mr. Curtis, listen. Yeah.
We need a place for the party. And she's got a really cool, creepy house. We should have it there.
And I like how he's literally like, okay.
And he's like, all right, sure. Like, ask your dad.
Like, what?
Yeah.
And so she asks him, right? And then, because that happens.
It doesn't show it. It doesn't show it. No, because when the other kid comes to her house.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, because then the next thing is that, like, we see that the cute guy is me. I mean, he is cute. But he's, like, just the guy. He, like, shows up at her door and he's like, hey, I was wondering if you want to be, like, go together or whatever.
He's got that 90s boy hair with the part in the middle and the swoopy hair, and so does Casper.
So does the boys at the beginning of the movie. Everybody's got it. It's almost like
Jonathan
a Sean
Taylor
Hunter.
Thomas, but also Sean from Boy Meets World.
Sean Hunter.
So
he's like, yeah, and she's like, oh my gosh, and she's so excited.
She's so
and
cute.
She literally gets giddy when he walks away.
I just love. She's like, what are you doing here? I mean, hi.
Hi. And then they have that chat. He walks away. It's not until
he asked her to be his date, right?
Yeah.
What we said?
Yeah. And then that's why. But she visibly is so excited. Like, she jumps up after he leaves, and I'm like, girl.
That's when she's like, oh yeah, I asked my dad. He kind of hit the ceiling, but.
Oh my gosh, I do forget she said that. I'm like, oh. So then, but then when he leaves, you see that the girl is behind a tree, and she's like, you did it. And he's
like, did she agree? And he's like, yeah,
and
but
he seems genuinely upset.
He's like, this bites.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't want to do it. And so that's why I'm kind of like, is this her boyfriend? Because he doesn't seem like he's like,
he's into Kat.
Yeah, like and or
he's
more
never
so,
mean.
Or also more so like he just never seems into this blonde girl.
No.
Like it's almost like he's just like, yeah, I'll do it, but that was stupid. Like why?
But even before, like when he first sees her, he like looks back at her. Then she has a locker next to his, and he's like, hey.
Related. I'm just gonna.
Kat, I mean, not the other girl.
No, I know, but maybe Theodore. Hold on.
But yeah, then.
Tell me.
I'm trying to think of what actually happens next. Basically, we see so her dad continues to try to help the uncles cross over, and they are like,
yeah, he's genuinely trying to.
Yeah, they're like, mer, mer, mer. That's how they sound. And at one point,
they're just friends. Sorry, it just says Amber's friend because they have different last names. He's Vic DeFilippi, and hers is Amber Whitmore, and it's a Kat's rival and Vic's friend, and then it's Kat's crush and Amber's friend. So they're just pals. That's why I was like, I think they just hang out in the same group, and that's why he's not like, I'll do anything for you. It's more just like, I mean, what am I going to do? Not side with my friend, I guess. It's so weird that she does not act like she's interested.
They're like 12, so I don't know.
Yeah, I guess at the same time, at that time, you almost took ownership over people without it being like an actual dating
You're like,
thing.
you're my friend. You have to do this.
And we're both like cool kids and like, whatever. And it's like, calm down. Anyway, I'm sorry. So he's trying to deal with the uncles. Yes.
Her dad is actively trying to get them to cross over, and they're just not taking it seriously at all. And at one point, after Kat asks, she's like, I need an outfit for the party. You know, she wants to it's so funny. She's like, Dad, I found your credit card. He's like, cool, where was it? And she's like, in your wallet.
Oh, that was I can't.
But it was cute because he's just like, did I lose it?
He's like,
wait,
where?
He's like,
and
what
she's
are you
like,
talking
no, I found it in
about?
your wallet. Literally.
Yeah, and she's like,
the audacity. She's like, let me just go through it real quick.
I need this. And she wants to find a cool outfit in town or whatever. And she's like, I want to look like nice, like date nice. And I just think it's funny that he's like, wait, okay, well, I think then we should have like the talk. And she's like, Dad, it's too late for that. And he's like, what? How late? Like, and she's
Who
like,
gave
not
her
that
the
late.
talk then? No,
It's school, I guess. I don't know.
She's like,
yeah.
you're too late.
She's like, I'm 12 or 13. I think she's 13 because they say she's a teenager.
Talk, so fair enough.
I feel like I never got the talk like that. And then my cousin's mom got her a book. I told you that was
it the Care and Keeping of You, the American Girl doll one?
No, it was like
that wasn't really that was more of like a physical one, not like a sex ed one.
It was literally like a kid's picture book showing like how men and women like procreate, have sex, have babies.
It's funny,
but it was like drawn as for children, and I was like,
I think I had a different one that was more like that because the Care and Keeping of You was an American Girl doll one, so it was a little bit more like.
Karen keeping
the care and keeping
of you.
So
my god, I literally was like, Karen keeping.
It was more of like about how to like put a tampon in and like
I've
period
seen
and stuff. It was very helpful
they have
for like hygiene, physical, like basically puberty.
Yeah.
And the other one, I remember
there's
I had a different
boys
one.
Versions. I've seen ones that are like, here's for a boy.
There was another one I had that was like more about like the sexual aspects of stuff, but most of that we learned in school and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Health class in the U.S. sometimes.
Yeah, it also is not that helpful at all either.
No.
But it's anyway. On that note, yeah, he's like, they just have a cute moment.
Yeah, I thought he's like, oh, okay. And then
we forgot too that when he's talking with the ghost, they like trick him into thinking that they can.
About to.
Oh, I thought it was earlier when they did.
No, because it was after that when he was like, okay, blah blah blah, and then for some reason he was like in a mood where he was just like, because he's like, no, I think they're really coming around or whatever.
Oh,
and then he went to see them in his office, and he just, I don't know why he decided to just be like, not talk to them.
Yeah, give him the silent treatment.
And he was like taking his stuff and gonna leave, and they were like, "Oh no,
like, excuse
now
me?
we can't like
mess with him. Really,
he's not like having fun with us anymore. So we're gonna like take him to the bar to get drunk." Well, before that, that's why.
Wait, what are you talking about?
I think the reason he starts to give them the silent treatment is because they did that.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because first, I don't know when it is. It's like their first time when he's talking to them that they're all of a sudden.
He's like, "Okay, boys."
They see that the picture of his wife. And they're like,
oh yeah, that's
what I was trying to talk about. Where I was like, there's a thing that it's like, they're like, who's this? Or they act like they don't know her, which is the clue there.
Well, because they were throwing frames and
he's
shooting
like,
them.
not this one, and they're like, who's that? And they act like they don't know her, so that's the clue there, because they're like, who is that? And then he's like, oh, it's my wife. And they're like, oh my gosh, they say something, and they're like, can you introduce us there, bud? And he's like, no, she's passed away. And they're like, even better, we'll find.
Yeah.
And then they kind of mention her again, and they're like, she's a peach. She's
always
sweet.
treated you well.
Yeah, or she's so sweet. Yeah. And he's like, what are you talking about? So basically, they're claiming now that they do know her. Mm-hmm. Basically, they trick him, and they're like, we can show you, because he's like, wait, can you tell me how? Which is what his goal has been, to find a ghost even that can tell him how to talk to other ghosts. Yeah. And they're like, we can't really do that, it's like against the rules. And then he's like, what? And then basically they trick him into like entering a different room, and it's the bigger ghost dressed up as her, and they're all just like having a laugh, and it's annoying, and just
what are their names? Fatso?
It's not great. Were you saying their names?
I don't remember, so never mind.
We're like, they're the Three Stooges. Curly, something.
Mo, Curly, yes. Larry.
Thank you. Mo! Cute. Mo. So he's angry about that the next time, I think. Or he's just kind of like, y'all like to play this.
He's like, forget it.
Yeah, forget it. And he's like, but he's not being like outright hateful. He's just being like,
he's like packing up his stuff.
It's genuinely the silent treatment where you like can't even get a reaction out of them. So it's like, what? Which, infuriating. But anyway. Wow.
But he's stonewalling them. But like, yeah, it's weird.
So then they're like, fine, I guess, they'll take him to the bar. They're
like, oh no, but they're kind of genuinely concerned also.
Yeah,
they're just like,
they're an interesting bunch.
Yeah.
Because what do they care?
They just kind of are like tricksters, but also they bully Casper constantly. And so they're like, okay, happy hour time. And so they
don't have as many.
Hey! Oh my God. Wait.
Oh God.
Really?
Beena.
Oh my God. Guys, sorry, there was an emergency. My apartment could have caught fire. My cat
Beanie, who was literally losing her mind earlier,
I don't know,
over here.
She's on something today because she literally grabbed the wire from one of my lights and it fell and shattered. And then it was starting to catch fire, but luckily there was no fabric there.
Oh my gosh. We're like, if it wasn't her, it was Casper. It was not Casper, it was his uncle's, the ghost.
I'm telling you.
I swear.
Can't. She's in my room.
A lot. Yeah, she's been put into the room now.
She's in time out. I was like, come in the room. And she's like, why?
I know. Why?
Why do you want me
What's
in
the?
there?
I don't know what that reminds me of. The why?
Oh, that's the one that was like.
I was thinking recently of the we treat a woman like a car. That's not
that's
one. Is that okay? You
that's
knew
what
it.
I was gonna say. Where he's
I know you know it,
okay,
but I'm glad you
go on.
Connect.
No.
I don't think I know you knew the audio, but I'm so glad you knew that's what I meant because I just recently saw it again, and I'm like, it doesn't even make sense in context, but the tone is exactly of like, you got to treat a woman like, or you got to treat a woman like you treat a car. What does that mean? Continue or no? It's go on. No. So I'm sensing that I shouldn't. Or like, I don't
think I will. Or something like that.
Yeah, it's like something about like, I'm sensing I should admit. And it's like, boycott himself. God. We respect it. This
episode's over.
I know. I'm like, anyway, everything's great. La-di-da. That was it. Where are we at? They take him out to the bar.
So the uncles bully Casper. And so they take him out
to the bar.
Oh, Kat's dad is ignoring her. I mean, I can't. I'm all over the place. They're ignoring the uncles. He's ignoring the uncles.
Yeah. And they're like, let's take him out to the bar. They go to the bar. He gets wasted. And then he's like, you're reminding me of my time with the guys, which call back because earlier he was like, she's like, we need to stop moving around. Like, I would love to make a friend. And he's like, I would like a friend too.
She's like, at your age, Dad, it's more likely that you'll rob a bank or whatever.
To be a bank hostage. I was like, that is such right to the bone.
Yeah.
She was like, let me get you. Like, what is that John Mulaney when he's like, teenagers will literally say the most, like, just you're like, that's the thing I'm insecure about. True. Like, it's like they know.
Teenagers are
rough, brutal,
scary.
But teenagers scare
the living shit out of me. MCR.
And great. But
when we were young.
but yeah, like, so he clearly was missing having times like that. And
this is because the uncles are like literally before he says that they're like, all right, you know what, it's been the three of us for long enough, we're gonna kill him, so it'll be four of us.
Death is so casual in this movie, but not the loss and grief process, but death itself. I'm like,
again, life is fragile,
but at the same time that's happening, but
before that they decide, they're like, when he says the thing about the boys, they're like, oh, they're like, never mind. They were gonna kill him. They were gonna kill him.
Sorry, that's the lead up. They're gonna kill him with their little like weapons. They found there.
They have weapons that they're trying to hide behind them, but they're literally see through.
You can see it, but he's so drunk.
He's so drunk. But then, that's what we were saying too. Where you're just like, the uncles are kind of like, they're mischievous and they're rude sometimes, but they still are kind of like, okay,
they kind of
like
want
they
what
can
they want. Like they're like, but then they're also not like out here trying to be like, we're evil.
They're not evil. They're just like.
They're like, let's have fun. Hey, let's have fun.
They're pranksters, but not and they're also bullies. You know what I mean? But anyway, they apparently they're just like, okay, all right, we like him too much. We're not going to do this to him. Yeah, a quartet. Yeah,
they're having fun.
That is how that's their accent.
Quartet. So then,
but then her dad walks outside.
There's a construction situation, like a pit, which should have been monitored. Who's in this bar? Where's anybody?
Doesn't make any sense. He falls into the pit
and dies.
And he dies.
I literally was like, Stevie,
I was like, they're gonna kill him. He's gonna die. You're like, what?
I literally didn't believe you when you said something. I thought you were just like being like, and then
I didn't outwardly be like, oh, he's gonna die.
Right,
I was just like, oh, they're gonna
trying to kill him. And I'm like, okay. And then literally, I could not believe. And I'm like over there, like, of course, Stevie doesn't spoil it for me, but I'm just like, will he come? And you're like, well, he did die.
I'm like, no, you're like, he didn't die. I'm like, he's dead. Because he was dead.
He was.
And then, but you're right. At the same time, at the same time, Casper shows Wendy, I was going to say, shows Kat that
she's asking about, like, what was your life like? This is, like, all leading up in the same storyline, because she's like, do you remember how you died? And he's like, no.
He's like, I don't remember
your
my
dad,
life.
your mom. And he's like, no. And they have, like, a heart-to-heart out on the roof, too.
And also, if you've seen Casper, you know that little tune that they always have throughout it that's like, do, 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 do. Do, 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 do,
and it's so cute because he's just like,
so like,
he's like, I don't know, you kind of forget stuff, and she's like,
because it's almost been like, he's been out for like
a century almost.
Yeah, like 100
and like
years,
at one point
maybe.
she's literally like, do you think my mom forgot me? And he's like, no, your mom. This is like another time where it's like, he's like, your mom could never forget you. And I was just like, and I told Stevie, it reminded me of like in Ant-Man 2 when Michelle Pfeiffer, like the mom was like, she's been in that quantum realm, you know, and then like, what's her name? Kate from Lost. Again? Yeah.
The Wasp.
She was like, I can't remember what her character's name is.
It's her dad's name is Pym. But then she doesn't have her doesn't she not have his last name?
I thought she does, but then she doesn't.
But she doesn't, yeah.
I don't know what her first name is now. Wow.
Kate.
Right, but then she's Kate from Lost.
Yeah.
But she's like, oh, do you think
Lily.
my mom... Lily
Evangeline Lily.
Evangeline. Oh, wow.
Evangeline Lily.
Yeah. But what's her name in the show? I don't know. But she's like, oh, do you know, like, she's like, what if my mom has been, like, she's been gone for so long and what if her mind's wasted? Like, what if she forgot me? And that's like, Scott's like, oh my gosh, like, I could be away from Cassie for like 100 years and I could never forget her. Like,
Girl,
she remembers you and she is like wants to find you just as badly. And it's like, so that's kind of this thing where he's like, your mom would never forget you. And they're talking more, like, they keep having these discussions because she's like saying, like, well, do you remember, like, she's telling him her memories, which are just so, like, core memories of, like, she's like, I remember, I can hear her making breakfast
that much, but then she does.
Yeah, she's, well, just like those things of, like, when you're a little kid, though, like, I remember her making breakfast downstairs. I can hear it, like, when she comes up to wake me up, and, like, when she would hug me, I could smell her perfume. And
her ivory soap.
Yeah, and just like I could.
And then the little thing she would say to her, which was like, she's like, when I was going to bed, she'd say, "Stardust in your eyes, happy rosy cheeks, a happy girl in the morning." I'm like,
yes. There was another thing too. What was it that we were like, oh my gosh, because it was like the breakfast, that she said. And then there was a second
the soap.
One. Was it the soap?
The ivory, the stars in the eyes.
I could swear there was.
I feel like there was another one.
Now it's gonna bug me. Hold on.
Sounded like a mosquito.
I know. But basically it's leading into her being like, well, who were you? Like, how did you die?
This is also the cute moment where
here it is. Here it is. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. He's like, sometimes at first I'm sorry. I worry that I'm starting to forget. And he's like, forget what? And she's like, my mom, just certain things. The sound of her making breakfast downstairs. The way she put on her lipstick.
Yeah, so precise.
So visceral. Like, just watching your mom put on makeup. And you're like.
Precisely.
You know, I would always ask my mom, because you know when you would have, people used to carry around the lipstick holders with a little mirror in them? Mm-hmm. I remember I would always ask my mom when she put her lipstick on, I'd be like, can I have that? Can I grab it? And I would just hold it. Like, well, after she did it, I'd be like, whoa. And like, look at the mirror.
Wow.
And I was, you know how little kids are always obsessed with looking themselves just for like, they're like, anyway, and I just remember I was just like always be like, wow, and I'd watch her put and so it's like she just really connected with that, where she's like put on her lipstick so carefully. She's like, I do remember she always used ivory soap, and when she'd hug me, I'd breathe her in so deep, and I remember her before I'd go to sleep, she'd whisper in my ear, stardust in the eyes, rosy cheeks, and a happy girl in the morning. And he's like, Casper.
But this is I think of also on that note about like your mom's like stuff like that. I think a lot about when my mom would get ready. My mom, when I was younger, she would always be ready. Like, she would be getting ready all the time. Like, she would do her hair and like her makeup and that stuff too. And it was always like, I think about that a lot when she would like straighten her hair, and the smell of like that, and like the smell of like the hairspray stuff. It always felt so otherworldly as a little girl too. You just be like, and like they could be doing something so simple, like literally just like combing their hair. And you're like, but even though I was like, I think about when I was like literally a teenager too, and I would just we would just be like chilling on her bed, and she's just like getting ready, and like I feel like I think about that a lot, and I was thinking about that the other day actually, which is funny. But I don't know. I wonder if a lot of people have, if they have memories of their moms, kind of similar ones, and I'm like, it's just very like it's cute. Like a very. And then like the scents that you have and all that stuff. It's very cute.
It's just like a very like visceral memory like association. Just like it's like similar. It almost reminded me of like things when people reference like remembering the sound of your dad or your parent coming home from work. Like it's that whole like just that those childhood sounds of things that are like a comfort when you don't even realize they're a comfort. Like as a kid you don't realize it's not like a hug, it's like, something different.
I always think about when my mom would also come home, like when she would go out and it was cold outside, and she would come home, and like I love that smell that someone smells like when they came in from outside, wearing a jacket, and like she was wearing a coat, or something, and like it would be like furry on the hood, and like it's like cold, and then but there's like
smell, that relief that you don't even realize you're feeling when someone's home, which is I assume is what parents often feel when someone new arrive back home too. But it's just like
we're like but this is also the part where Casper says that line that I feel like is one of the most iconic lines is when he's like, can I keep you?
Yeah, that's the one that I always had heard. That's why I was like, that's from Casper? I was like,
he's like, can I keep you? Because she's like falling into a sleep, and she's like, he's just saying things to her like, if I were alive, like, would you take me to the dance? Like, and all this stuff. She's like, yeah, but she's like falling asleep. And then he kisses her on the cheek, and because he's so cold, she's like, Casper, can you close the window? It's cold. And he's like, and he just like kind of curls up next to her and goes to sleep. I'm like,
it's like Sixth Sense, but also
but
it's just so sad.
I don't know. Just the little things like that. Because in this movie get that me. I'm happened.
Like, you're like, this is an emotional film. But then so like simultaneously though, I think they're talking later, and that's when they're in the attic, and she's like, I need to wear something for the party. Yeah. And he's like, this was my mom's, and it's like this like literal 1900s.
Oh yeah,
which is like the only reference we get to his mom, and we assume that she must have passed away when he was younger. And he claims that he does not remember his mom really in general, but he didn't remember his dad either.
Before that too, before he goes up there, she unboxes all of his toys.
Oh yeah, she puts his room back to life to help him.
Yeah, it's a really cool attic room.
I think this can help jog your memory.
And it just looks like he literally would be living there now.
Yeah, and literally looks like Herod's toy store. Like literally, as like it just looks like something.
Yeah,
like that,
she just like completely reinvented it, I guess. And it just looks like, oh, there's a little boy living in this room, and then he gets really excited and goes, he's like, this toy,
I remember this. Yeah. So
and that's when she finds the dress, like you said.
His memory is getting jogged. She puts on the dress, and she's like, is it okay if I wear this for the party? And he's like, yeah. And then he like starts remember, because
he's sitting on his sled.
Yeah, and he goes, I remember I begged for a sled, and then one day my dad had it downstairs for no reason at all, which is like such a cute.
I know.
It's always that thing that we're talking about when I bring up the memories, like when I brought up Little Mermaid too. Anything that's like something like there was no reason to get a gift, as if like parents didn't do that all the time, but it just felt different. It was like,
it did, because when you're a kid, it
you were
feels like you only get things on your birthday or like during Christmas. Like those are the days that you expect. So when you did it,
or like on holidays or whatever, especially like, or as a reward for something, not something that it's like
out of the blue.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's not because they're trying to keep things from you, but it felt very much like a thing of like moderation, of just being like, you don't always get them, which is like every day of our lives, like a little treat. But
I know we're like, but now we get ourselves
anything for you, princess. But it's like, but it's just funny because all the time. But it's just funny how much that like he literally was like, for no reason at all, he gave me this. He made this. It had like a bow
on it,
and he's like, and I was all day on it, and it was so much fun. And then he's like, but then it was getting darker, and he was like, come on in, and he's like, no, and I kept, and then it's not, I thought he was gonna have like a sledding accident.
I know.
But it was that he got sick, and he's like, and then my dad was sad.
Yeah.
And then
so he died of that,
like, which is very
hypothermia, maybe.
I know, something like that. I was thinking like pneumonia, but
pneumonia,
I'm like, I don't know if that's,
yeah, that's what I meant.
I'm like,
and then so he's like, and I stayed behind because he's like, I know I didn't go where I was supposed to go, and I stayed behind so my dad wouldn't be alone.
That's right.
And
then his dad was working on a machine that would bring him back to life, and I'm like, this is so casual. He's an inventor, but also what?
And then you see all like the newspaper clippings of that, which I think was really cool.
Yeah.
And Kat was like reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's reading like, oh, inventor lost his son, and he's kind of like gone off the rails, and he's trying to like invent a machine that can bring people back from the dead and all this stuff. And it's interesting that maybe he did try to do that with his wife, but clearly because he still had his son, he was like, okay, he had to be there for him, and so he probably didn't think of that, or maybe he thought of it, but once he lost his son, he's like, okay,
maybe it felt like there shouldn't have been a way. It almost felt like it wasn't, like it didn't work, and then like for some reason, like I thought there were, I think
it was like he kept trying and it didn't. By the time he got to the point where it did, he was taken away. But it's like wild, because I'm like, I don't know, because did he see his son as a ghost? Yeah, because he was saying, he's like, I'm haunted by the ghost of my dead son. And so then that's why they took him away, which is really sad, because he's like, no, I see him, like he's there. Yeah. And that's why he was coming up with this plan. And I wondered, I thought they were going to have a bit where it's like, it wasn't working because of this, here's how we'll make it work. But he's basically like, they go on this like super he's like, let me show you the thing. He's like, let's go. They underground. Go on a literal like. It's so cool. I love it. He's like, my dad, he had a hard time getting up, and I'm like, same. And I'm just kidding. But like, and he's like, and it was this whole thing where you sit on a thing, you and it, sit on a chair, brushes your teeth for you. My favorite part is like when there's a lot of spiral staircases in this movie, and everything's like made of metal. It's almost like steampunky vibes. Yeah. And then it goes to the chair goes to the edge of the stairs, and she's like, and then all the stairs like flatten down, and they're like, and she's like, let me go down. And it's really funny too, because he's like trying to take her down there, but she can't go through walls, and he's like, let's go the long way. That's right. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. And then so she's down there, and it's like this big like underground laboratory. I'm like, this man, and so. It's like this man. Yeah, this machine. It's like he's like, oh look, here's this like primordial soup kind of thing of like whatever, like, and you know. Also down there, it's like unfinished. There's like, it's almost like a cave. It's half their cave. Unfinished basement. Yeah, right. Unfinished business basement. It's half cave, half like lab. because there's like water.
and a lab. It's like Batcave essentially.
That or and like the Goonies.
Oh
like,
yeah, I did feel like the Goonies. You're right.
But it was
then at the same time, so they're there and they're like, yay! I can this is it. Like here's the one that you use. Like there's still only one bottle left. One. Yeah,
the other ones had a little bit of stuff in there.
I was like, are we able to like
mix the other two together?
Can we investigate what this bottle is before we use it?
Right.
Anyway,
one shot and that's it.
Like hello, and
shouldn't you try to like in case for other people. This is a whole big deal, and they could use it for other people. But whatever.
You see,
they're
but
children.
Then instead. We see that Kerrigan and Dibbs are spying. They've been spying this whole time.
To say, yeah.
They were like, oh, hey, look, he's out here going to the bar with the ghost, and she's like, his job was to get them out of the house, which he did. Which I'm like, yeah, but it's like, how long do they think they have? They're like, cool, we just needed an hour.
They're like, let's just go look.
Yeah, let's go look. So they're in there trying to get the treasure. Their motivations change a bit when they see that this machine is there. I mean, they still want to go for the treasure, but they see this machine and they're like,
well, the reason, is because they're like, well, if we can come back from the dead, well, one of us dies, and then we can go through walls.
So flawed.
But you know what? If you go through a wall, how are you going to get the treasure back through the wall?
You would have to literally still bulldoze
you still have to break through.
Just bulldoze the place once he got them out and when they went to the bar. Hello? Yeah. But...
And they're like, let's quickly get a bulldozer.
I can't handle. And so then they're over there like, well, then one of us will die. And because they steal it while she's trying to work it on Casper.
Yeah, Dibbs is literally, So
Casper's like, it's not working, you know?
And so he's like, okay, I'm going to be a real boy. And Cat's like, oh my God. And so they do it, but as they're literally, like, they pull the lever.
It's not fair.
They take it out, which I feel like once the machine started, I feel like it doesn't make sense that you could just take it. Yeah. But Kerrigan steals a little vial.
And so then that's when she's like, one of us has to die. And she's like,
and then Dibbs is like, you're going to kill yourself? And she's like,
and she's already
not me.
Swinging.
Yeah.
But if I have a scene. Yeah. And so she's like already swinging, going after him. He gets in like a knight in shining armor.
This whole thing.
This sequence
is like a Scooby-Doo sequence.
It really is. I can't.
He like puts chocolate sauce all over the floor in the hallway, and he's dressed in like the knights.
The knights, yeah,
like
shining
knight in armor.
Knight in armor. A knight in shining.
And she's coming out with an axe just like carelessly. Like literally the way she's going about trying to kill him is so careless that I'm like, girl, you clearly are gonna kill yourself.
Yeah, it's
like.
It's so fun. And so, like, she's going on, and she
slips in the chocolate. Luckily, doesn't hit herself with the axe.
They get outside.
Flies out the window.
Yeah. Oh, my. They're outside. He grabs the thing. Then she chases him with the car.
Yeah, she tries to run him over the car.
Goes past it.
Right? She literally hits a tree because she goes through the woods, and then the airbag comes out, and she's like, and then it pans out, and we see that the tree is like literally at the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
So she goes to just get out of the car casually, didn't notice, falls to her death.
And I literally was like, Stevie, and you went, no, she's dead. And I went, no, she's
You're like,
what?
No. Is she really?
There's
You're
water.
Like, how do you know though?
I know.
And I was like,
wait.
Look, she just fell. Yeah. And then also that moment, again, for child.
Like, that's so dark.
For a family movie.
Her dad dying and him. This happened before the dad died,
the way
to be
she
fair.
Falls
it was like, this
scary.
is all happening simultaneously.
Yeah, it's at the same
and this
time.
happened before, so she was the first death, technically. But still, I'm like, hello? And then literally he's like, oh, well, look what, he's like, hello, are you down there? And he's like, wow, look what you did.
He's like, good.
And then he walks away and she's literally becomes a giant ghost.
And she's like, the bitch is back.
I can't. And you're like, what is this rated?
And I was like, well, clearly this is PG-13.
I can't. And like, then they're kind of like, okay, they kind of team up again with it. No, they don't. No,
I feel like he starts running back inside, and she also does because she's like, I'm gonna get the treasure.
Because then we're kind of cutting back to when the dad
dies. Because they see
dies
that there's a vault too, and they know the treasure's in the vault or something like that. Yeah, because they're like, oh, there's a vault. That must be where the treasure is.
Because then she comes in, and that's when she gets the that's right, that's right.
But also Casper when he's like, am I human? And he's like a little tiny like sunny side up egg looking.
I can't. She's inflating him again because he's like a pancake essentially. So she's inflating him. They're arriving back, and it's like there's just when Kerrigan arrives back.
You're saying Cat's inflating him.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, so then she arrives back, and it's like there's just this woman ghost, and so she's like Miss Kerrigan, or like she says something, Miss whatever her last name is.
Yeah.
And like Casper recognizes her too. I think right. They're just like
because she went into the vault. And she like comes out with a chest, and she's like ha ha ha, and then Dibbs pops up and he's like no, he like steals it. He still has the he still has the bottle of like
that's right. Yeah.
And he's like,
you know what I'm gonna do? Like he basically is like,
you can't control me anymore. Yeah. And even if you do haunt me, you're gonna have to haunt me in a big mansion, because he's thinking I'm gonna take the treasure, whatever, and he's gonna throw the vial away so that she can't come back to life.
I can't.
And she's like, you jerk, whatever, and they're like fighting.
And she like
she literally like throws him out the window.
Did he think that she couldn't touch things? Like she's like, anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is he dead? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, is he? We don't know.
She's not like the other ghosts that are like small. Yeah. She's like huge.
Towering.
Probably her personality. I don't know.
That's fair. She was large.
She was
large and light. And it's like, what? I can't.
Then and she grabs the vial, and then Kat and Casper are like, Casper's like, okay, well, now, you know, we have to go over your unfinished business. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then Kat's like, well, you know, I'll go have unfinished business. And then she's like, not me. I have everything I want. I have my treasure. I have my house. I'm all set. Great. We're set. We're set. And then that's when, like, I guess the universe hears her and is like, cool.
You don't have any unfinished business? And she's like, wait, what? And so then she starts, like, vanishing.
Yeah, like, the light comes through her.
Into the afterlife.
Crossing over.
The only character we see that goes into... Except, I guess, her mom and stuff were already in there. So then they're like, okay, cool. Well, now let's use...
Kat catches the vial.
And they're like, we can use this again now and stuff.
Potion, I guess. It's not really a vial.
Yeah.
Looks like a light bulb.
That vial. But at the same time, the uncles show up with her dad. Who's now
drunk as a skunk.
Literally a drunk ghost.
And he's a jerk.
The worst scene.
Also, I love how Bill Pullman looks, though. He's adorable as
literally like as if it
looks
a
just
TV
like
show
him, but his face is so long and his little chin. I'm like,
and it has his like essence, like the way he acts. But I told Stevie I brought up some very deep-rooted sadness, and maybe not sadness, more like kind of a traumatic moment that I used to watch Scooby-Doo like before.
Oh yeah,
before
Forgot
bedtime.
You were telling me about this.
Yeah, when I was little, I don't know. I went through. Everyone had our Scooby-Doo, you know. Yes. But I would just like watch it, and I remember I was getting away with watching it later, like in my parents' room. And I guess I watched it too late, like right before bed. And I wasn't even that scared, Scooby-Doo. But it was like a vampire episode. I don't know. And so I had a dream that my dad had got turned, like my dad and grandpa were turned into vampires, and I like ran up to them to try and get them to come back, and I like ran to hug my dad. It was like a literal movie where you run into his chest and you're like a little kid, and I go, it's you, I got you, and he looks down and he like just, I have like a visceral memory of his, whoever he looked like in my dream, and he's just like, who are you? Like, I don't even know you. And I was devastated. I literally woke up in tears, and I was genuinely, the rest of that week, I was like, you didn't know who I was. Aww. And he's like, but I did. And I was like, what? You were a vampire? My mom was like, what did you watch? And I was like, they were just vampires on Scooby-Doo that weren't like that at all. It was like not like that. And she was like, let's take a break from watching Scooby-Doo at night for like, but can you believe?
Like, why?
But it's like,
are you feeling?
But the sadness of like a parent or a loved one, when it's like any movie you see that's like that. But like if like someone is like, who are you? It's like the most.
I don't know you.
It's like Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, you're my brother Justin. You're so much cool. I love you, and I want to be like you. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know who you are, but I'll do it. I'll do whatever you need.
And he's like, okay.
I can't.
That's sad.
You know.
But he's also being rude to her, and she's like devastated that her dad died, and then
the whole thing
he's like,
really
what?
Up.
I don't know, a cat, blah blah blah. He's like, and she's like, no, look at this, and they have this cute little like pinky promise thing that they do, and she's like, no, and she like grabs his pinky, and he's like, oh, cat. He's like, how could I forget? I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Like, I can't believe this happened. And then
genuinely confusing, because
the uncles in the background are like, oh,
well, he's just really drunk, and we're like, no, why would being really drunk make you forget the cat? Yeah. What was the joke you just said he made? The Katarina?
It's like Katarina. Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I don't have a cat or something like that. And it's just like, when did they do the pinky promises?
At the beginning in the car.
Because
he's like, I promise. Once we're done with this, like, we'll be able to.
Her face is so devastated. Yeah. It's me in the dream. Like, it's so upset that, like, it's like, it almost, because of that, I feel like he's literally like, but I'm like, hello, when you're drunk, you don't forget people.
I know. I think it's because he was just, he just died.
Also, it's like a whole thing. Yeah, he's going through it.
But, like, I do like how the uncles, too, were in the background. They're like,
we messed up. And also,
even though they didn't do it, but they did bring him there.
But also, I like how he has that slow, like you said, that slow realization of like, oh, cat.
I feel like I remember that part lasting a little bit longer.
Yeah, because you were like he's an asshole, and I was like, I mean, he is.
For 2 seconds.
But it was 2 seconds at least. I thought it was going to be like an entire problem.
Oh, yeah.
Which I always think something in this movie is going to last longer, and it doesn't.
Me too.
Like, I'm always going to be like, we have to deal with that now. And it's like, anyway, resolved. Right. Like, literally, everything's fine in 2 seconds.
It's over. Oh.
Yeah. But I like it because he's just like, oh, cat. It's so... And it's so...
He's like, sweetheart.
But it's so cute because everything's okay. And
Casper's
literally
over.
no questioning. He's like...
He's like, come on, Mr. Wait.
What is his last name?
Her last name is Harvey.
That's right. He goes, come on. Like, and it's not even like a, I guess I'll have to get... He's literally like...
He's like, you need this more than I do.
And I'm like, I can't. And so
they put him in there.
Where's his body
again, very quick.
So where's his body at the bar? Is there still a body there?
Right, it just materializes.
I don't understand.
That's true. Like, does it teleport
I don't understand.
Or is it that, like, thing, you know how, like, they say that, like, once teleportation is going to be a thing because they can already, like, transport, I guess, one photon from one place to another? This is based off of something that I've seen, so if I'm getting wording wrong, please. But they can, like, transfer right now. They can teleport one photon from one place in the world to another. So, like, if they get to the point where they can teleport, like, humans, it'll basically be, like, it'll, like, scan your entire, like, all the information on all of your atoms. Yeah. They're going to scan all of that information. Then you get disintegrated, and then you get all that information is downloaded onto new atoms on the wherever the other port is.
But what about your mind? Is it
this girl? So I saw a TikTok about it that she like, I think she stitched Hank Green, but she literally was like, I have a question. What's consciousness?
Yeah, like, where does it? This is like what reminds me of, like, there's so many movies like this. I feel like it's the one where
she's like, I haven't slept for days thinking about this.
What's the movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he, like, has a clone?
Sorry, I'm like, Jingle All the Way.
No,
right, are you talking about
where there's
twins?
But it's not a comedy.
I know him and Danny DeVito. That's not it.
Well, I was like, the twins one is where they're like, Wait, what is the movie called? But it's like where he doesn't know that because he goes home and there's an like it's a world where there can be clones, and he goes home and he's like, there's a clone with my family. This is the spoiler warning intercut in case spoiler warning. She's gonna move this to the front, and he's taking over, and then you find out that he was the clone all along. Like, he goes home and
alert.
I thought this is an old 80s movie.
Anyway, I forgot what it's called, but I feel like that happens a lot too in those types of movies, and you're like,
you kind of are like,
no.
Yeah. Oh, well, now we'll take this out if there's a spoiler. Thank you.
Well, we don't know what the movie's called. I haven't seen it either.
What?
No.
It's from literally the 80s. So you can't.
But you didn't tell me what the movie was.
I know. Well, we'll never know.
But anyway.
Now you'll just have it on TV. Anyway, the point is that the whole concept is that you're able to make clones now in this world, and it's like whether it's ethical or not.
That's happened in other movies, though, where they're just like,
right,
how do you know? But I am the person. And they're like, no,
the way they did it is like there's like a thing on his eye that shows that you're a duplicate or something.
But now I'm like.
But the problem is that what my thing was that the reason this cloning came to be is that they're like, now you never have to lose your loved ones. And this is sickening to me because they're like, if you have a kid that's dying,
isn't that kind of like the one with
I hate it.
That's the one, like the one almost with Elijah Wood and the good son.
I haven't seen that, but I recognize
Elijah Wood when he's a little kid, and Macaulay Culkin, and they like they lose their son, and then they like had to either clone him or like freeze some part of him, but then when they like put him in the new version of him because he's like a clone or whatever or something like that, he's bad. Like,
but
he's
evil. I don't like that because the thing was that they were saying, like, if you have a kid that's like dying of something, you clone him and then you never have to be without him. Like, the real son is
I think
dead.
It's literally like that.
But I hate that. It's like the real son is dead. If you're a real parent, you're not wanting your kid to be alive just to have their presence with you. You literally want them to be alive, and that real kid's conscience is gone. But to them,
they're just like, that is their conscience because it was like moved over.
But it's not. This is a clone. This is a clone though, so it's different. This other thing, you're right. This might just be like it's being moved, but also I never liked that because it reminds me of like, oh, he has your memories, and I'm like, that's not me though. Like,
that's like how they say like, oh, if we're gonna, like, it's a whole dystopian thing where it's like, are we gonna get to the point where we can just take our minds and put them in like robots? And is that going to be really, you know what I mean?
But it's like, you've seen The Prestige. No, you haven't.
I have. I saw that. And
we're the ones that talk about that. There's always the people I talk with about. Spoiler Prestige.
Which is the good one? The other one.
They're both different. I like The Prestige. It is
There's
a
the
world.
Prestige and the other one.
And then is it not The Magician or something?
No, it starts with a P too, I thought. Illusionist.
The Illusionist.
No, Prestige is better one.
The Prestige is like the one that's the what's his name?
What's
his name? The one who does the Batman trilogy. Oh my gosh.
Christian Bale.
No, the director.
Christian Bale is
he is.
He's made,
yeah. But what's
Christopher Nolan?
Thank you. I was like,
him, and then one of them has what's his face?
And it's got Michael. got the butler from I don't know names. It's so late.
No, I'm trying to think of
what's his name? The one that's like Master Wine. What is his name, Stevie?
Michael Caine.
Yes, my gosh.
No, I was trying to think of what's his name because he's in The Illusionist. Why do I keep thinking Eric Idle and thinking Edward Norton?
Edward Norton, yeah.
He's in one of them.
And
anyway,
it's him and Jessica Biel, and then in The Prestige, Scarlett Johansson's kind of in it, and then Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale. But it's so good. We honestly should do a special where we cover it because it's just enough of a haunting-ish thing too. It's so good, but the point is
spoilers.
Well, let's do a spoiler cut here. I'm going to do some spoilers to The Prestige because it's relevant.
Okay.
So, big spoiler jump cut right here for The Prestige. And then we'll do like a waving thing when it's no longer spoiler. And then we'll do a clapping thing. Okay. So, people are like,
go ahead, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We'll make it a time thing. Anyway. But yeah, like it's the whole thing is that Hugh Jackman, every time when he learns how to clone himself, that's how he, instead of being a twin, he figures out that he can have another version of him, but he has to kill the previous version of him.
Honestly, I remember loving the movie. I don't remember
but he never remembers which version of him, like he doesn't know which version of him is going to be the one that dies or the one that's going to be the living one. And it's like, he's like, you don't know what it's like. One of me is going to die at all times. And it's like, yeah, but another one of you lives on. He's like, but the one that died dies.
It's so
like
traumatic.
It's traumatic because I don't have memories of that being dying. We all have the same memories, but it's not like that one that died is dead. It's not me. Like, it's just weird because it's like he knows this and it's like weird. Like, and that's messed up. I don't know. That whole movie is an incredible.
Very great.
Okay. End of spoiler talk.
Spoilers over. Spoilers over.
Okay. Anywho, okay, we'll cover that one day. So yeah, it's that whole thing of like, I just don't like that. But anyway, that was all to say about transporting.
Anyway,
and stuff.
So where's the dad's
body? Where's dad's body? Is there another body out there? His consciousness we can understand, but he's brought back. Thank goodness. It's like a kind of a happy thing with that because then.
The thing in this too, his consciousness and stuff is different for this because really we just know where his soul and his consciousness are.
Right.
And they're on the ghost. Really, the only thing he's missing is his meat suit. So it's different.
Exactly.
It's different in this case.
Yes. But also,
so we can rest easy knowing.
Isn't it at that moment they're all reunited and then that's when the party people are there. And
they're like, oh my God, someone's at the door. And you see all of the kids from school are here.
Yeah, and she's like, let me go. Because like, he's like, look, I know that you have someone here that asked you. And so it's kind of a cute little moment. Then you see that Casper's going somewhere. So he's all of a sudden, he goes back up to the attic.
He goes back upstairs because he's kind of bummed that he didn't become a real boy. Kat's boy that she was supposed to be there with, like him and Amber, right? Amber?
Yeah.
Tried to play a prank and then Vic. They scared themselves basically and they just ran.
They were trying to be like away. two children in a coat, but instead it's like them being on top of each other is like
they got scared by.
They're such like, who are you? They're like, let's scare her. Why? It's not even like a mean prank. It's literally just them being like, let's scare her.
I know, they're like,
it's kind of random.
They're not like
they just want to give her. Yeah, they
kind of just fail.
And he's also just kind of like there.
I feel bad. He's like, I'm just going home, but they see a ghost.
And then they run out screaming. So then she's bummed because she's like.
And Casper's bummed, so he's in his room just like playing with his toys, kind of playing with his ball because he has like a baseball.
Oh yeah, they find out that the treasure.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, that.
Is that what he said?
Rodney Dangerfield.
What did I say?
You mean
who was it?
Is some baseball
pitcher.
Player.
Who's Rodney Dangerfield?
The
other guy that we saw,
the one that we were like, because it's like
listen,
it's like
I'm
Rover,
cutting.
Like
I need to
Rover Dangerfield.
Rodney Dangerfield was there earlier. I meant to say
Rover Dangerfield is a good movie, and the dog is him as a dog.
I do.
Remember? What is it? Remember when Genie does it? Like Robin Williams. What is it? He's like, got me talking to a rug. Or no, I'm losing to a rug.
I'm losing to a rug.
What a.
Wait,
he's
I
like,
need to know.
Let me see. What line are you gonna do? And he's like, not bad. I'm losing to a rug. Let's cover Aladdin. Let's just put on Aladdin.
Duke Snyder. Hello, me. What did Rodney Dangerfield?
It was something similar though. It was like
Duke Snyder.
Oh, I didn't even hear that you said that. It is kind of similar. It's got the same kind of vibe. Like they're both in a gang together. Rodney Dangerfield.
So
Duke
I guess
Snyder.
Casper must have been a lot because
when was he big?
The pitcher was born in 1926.
Oh,
so maybe he was alive in the
1930s or something.
40s,
late 1940s,
maybe,
or late 1930s.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway,
but he's like playing with the ball because they found that's the treasure that was in the vault. We didn't say that.
Oh.
And then,
yeah, we didn't say that. So when they find out, when Kat's like, what's in this? Yeah, it's literally his baseball and his little glove. And he's like, this was signed by Duke Snyder.
And then, so he sees up there melancholy. But then we see that Kat's mom makes an appearance.
Yeah.
And she's lovely.
He's like,
literally a fairy godmother.
Kat's
like, they
mom?
make the Cinderella reference.
This is like her. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then she's like, you did, like, what did she say? She's like, what you did was so, like, brave, or not.
Kat needs her dad.
Yeah, like she knew she
did
needed
such a
her
good
dad.
job.
Yeah, and I'm
She's
so proud. Or your dad's proud of you because you literally made his dream of making that invention work for what it needed to do work, which is nice because it's almost implying that he wasn't trying to be like, I'm gonna make things like change the world, and I'm gonna have to be. I mean, because it's that whole thing of like bringing people back to life where it's like, you're gonna mess things up if you keep trying to do like things that I don't know. And instead he's like, it just needed to happen for that moment. I don't know, it just was nice how he was like, you did what your dad had always wanted to do.
I feel like bringing, because it's the same thing where I guess it's the opposite. It's like he lost his son and he was alone after they lost the mom, and now she lost her dad and she was alone, so they brought them back together.
She was so devastated too when she saw he was dead. Like, that was so sad.
Which makes sense, obviously. That's her father.
Of course. But it was like, there's not even just like you're a ghost, you're right here. It was like, I know what this means, you're not here. And it's it's sad. So sad. And also how he was acting, obviously.
But her mom is like, no, I'm going to do something nice for you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to give you what you wanted, but on a time limit. And she's like, you can be a human boy, but only until 10. And he's like, what? Why Cinderella got till midnight.
And she's like, well, Cinderella wasn't 12.
It wasn't a 12-year-old boy. But how old is Cinderella? 18?
She's probably
she 18
16, 17, 18, something.
Anyway.
19, who knows? But so then that's when he gets to go downstairs.
It's so cute. And we see Devon Sawa.
That was the cutest.
Of course, every time I'm like, Jojo Siwa, Devon Sawa.
I can't. Every time you're like,
the blonde hair. She's got almost that haircut now, too.
It's true.
So cute.
It's literally like that moment of like any little kid's life of like, or like little, like, Prince Charming literally
he like cuts the dance floor. He walks down and everyone's like doing this slow dance that's called like, the words were matching with what was going on, which was kind of, remember me in this moment, which I think was so cute. So he like walks over
and
to
she's
her.
Literally like,
she obviously doesn't know it's him, so she's like, who is this boy?
But she's like, I ain't gonna say no.
Yeah, like, she's like, okay,
and
he just puts his hand out
and they
doesn't
go
say
dancing. Anything. And he says something, and they're floating like, eventually.
Yeah, they start.
I literally was like, it's the camera angle. They're floating. Like, I was like, wait a minute.
And then he like is like, oh my god, he's like cheek to cheek with her, and then that's when he says again, he's like, can I keep you?
Now see, that little quote is like
Casper?
The one I always see that on Tumblr, the GIFs. I remember I would see them as like little, like little GIFs or a little picture set of like Casper 1998, and you're like,
I love those. Man, I want to go on Tumblr later.
Girl, I live there.
A safe space.
Girl.
A safe space. Girl.
The guy that I was, the Danny Motto guy, Danny Motto, anyway, on YouTube, he was from TikTok. I told you, doing the review of the Bungo Stray Dogs and our reaction videos, and he was like, this anime has such Tumblr energy. And I was like, he gets it.
About Bungo Stray Dogs.
Yeah, he's like, he gets it. And at the very end, he's like, I love this. I want to keep watching. And he was like, he's like obsessed with it. And he's like, no, but literally, no wonder the girl, like, people are obsessed. He's like, every single character is literally a Tumblr aesthetic of like the weirdos that are all banding together. And I'm like, that's literally
I was going to wear my Bungo Stray Dog shirt today too, but I didn't.
We'll wear it both next time.
Yeah.
First off.
We will.
And we will.
And I will.
So he says that quote, and Precious, and she's like,
Casper.
And he's like,
it's so cute. So and then at the same time,
I love it because everyone in the party is pretty cool besides those two that were they're just literally like,
kids are like, what?
At all times
they're
watching
like, them dance.
Yeah,
and then it pans
anything that
up.
happens, even when the kids ran screaming earlier, they weren't like, there's a ghost here. Like they're scared
be there. No, they thought that she planned that. Remember?
Oh, that's right. They were like, clapping. Even Mr. Curtis was like, cool, because when they first get there, they're all kind of freaked out to be there.
Yeah, because Kat's like, make yourselves at home, stick together, you'll be safe. And then they walked in like, where am I?
Like, the biggest, it looks like a literal rented out ballroom.
The teacher, he's like, hi. He's like a lobster.
I can't. Everyone's outfits. I wonder if they like had some kind of like planning committee like in real life to be like, well, who wants to be what? Like extras can just show up and stuff, cute. Or pick an outfit on your day of or something, which is really cute.
I want to be a lobster one day. That's cute. He's lobster.
I was thinking of Friends.
But this is when they pan up to the top and they're just like, you just see the back of her dad just watching them dance. And then he sees something coming behind him, and you just see like he feels like wind, and then you see her mom like come through with her hands out. She looks so angelic. She's wearing a red dress, and which is funny because we were talking about Lydia in Beetlejuice with the red dress, but she's just he's like
mesmerized.
This whole moment is so sweet, and he's just like, I thought I would have all these things to say when I finally saw you again, but he's like, I just don't even know what to say. And I'm just like, and then she started talking to him about like,
it was so cute because she's like, I'm your youth. I didn't have any. You loved me so well in this life. I didn't have like you and Kat both,
she's like, you
didn't have unfinished business, or I didn't have unfinished business. But don't let me be yours. Like while you're alive, like
he's gonna use his whole life like looking for her, and then not be there for her. He is there for his daughter, but like
I know she's like, because he's like, I don't know what I'm doing, and she's like, he's doing so well. But I think that's why she's kind of giving him a nudge of like, but also you need to stop because you're gonna miss the important things. If you're just out here. Or you'll get worse. He would probably get like,
I wonder if she was ever going to show up if they hadn't gone there. You know what I mean? Like
if she saw he was going down, and obviously he's messing with stuff, so it's not like she was just
feel like, honestly, I feel like that house is like is almost like has like energy around it. Like, you know how certain locations in the world have like a lot of energy? Like
it's literally where...
Yeah, because like all the ghosts there specifically are very powerful. The like pit, and plus he was doing all those experiments on trying to get people back to life. So I feel like he must have been like creating this energy all the houses in different
shows, like Haunting Hill House, like American Horror Story, like just houses like that.
Yeah. They just draw. Like, so maybe that's why also she was actually able to be like,
because he even said, how are you able to do this? And she goes, those 3 ghosts.
Oh yeah, she's like, let's just say we know 3 ghosts who kept their word or whatever, which is also sweet because they were like, again, we see the uncles like having a change of heart throughout the movie. They're just like, okay,
they're like,
we'll get her then.
Yeah, which is funny because I thought they had way more interactions with Casper, and I think that's in Casper Meets Wendy. They mess with him a bit more, like not in a mean, brutal way, but they're just more like, hey, let us help you, let's give you advice, but also be like cheeky so about
weird.
it.
I can't even see them giving.
That's
advice.
like how I thought they were going to be in this, so it's just funny.
It's like before they get to that point.
Well, it's like, this is like their progress of getting to be like, let's see, we can actually be good uncles,
Yeah.
If they're uncles, I don't know what they are. They are. I think they are to him.
They are to him,
but we don't know if it's like by blood or just because they're like anyway.
Now they have no blood. They're just ghosts.
Make a point. But so it's cute because she touches his cheek. I just am obsessed.
I know
with
when
moment.
he touches her cheek.
So
when
he just leans like
he's like. I feel like he's like, oh my god, I can actually feel that you're here. And he was just more not shocked, but even more surprised by the moment because he's like, oh my god, this isn't just like an illusion that I'm seeing.
It's just so sad though because seeing someone, it's like, but no, now
you have to go. Yeah,
it's literally the country song. But One More Day with You by Diamond Rio, where it's like, if I had one more wish, I'd wish for one more day with you, but all it would do is leave me wishing for one more day with you. Like, it's like,
I think that a lot about when people think stuff like that, and I'm like,
it's like, I leave.
But I don't know. But then you would know, and you would be able to say,
that's true.
Goodbye.
It's more about things where you, if you didn't get a goodbye, if you didn't get, it's like, I guess it's only if you're like just wishing they could be back. It's like you're never gonna be satisfied with.
Man, this whole episode, I feel like we're just talking about, obviously. We're talking about ghosts, and there's a lot of death involved in grieving, but I feel like this is like, we're talking a lot about.
Don't get me started. Okay, Taylor Swift's album has brought us many things.
Midnight,
but Midnights. Okay, but one of the bonus tracks is called "Bigger Than the Whole Sky," and it's like that. You may have heard on TikTok the little part where it's like, "Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. You were bigger than the whole sky.
Maybe
you were more than just a short time."
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I think it can be about many things, but people keep relating it to like, especially pet loss and just like. You were like, so like, it's like that quote I told you that helped me a lot with like when I grieved like my pets, of like my dogs, of like, how can one small creature take up like a hole in you that's not even the depths of eternity can fill, and it's like literally a little creature that you're like, what, how did you? And I just feel like I'm like I just want to talk about grief. I'm like, it's just this whole thing though where you're like, I'm just thinking about it a lot lately.
I know.
But this movie, it does a beautiful job of it being like, death is not serious, but it also is in this.
Yeah,
grieving's
like it's not
serious in it.
Scary. Yeah. In the way that like
I think it talks about it as a very accessible way. Like if you're a kid, it's kind of nice to see it as like a death not being necessarily a scary thing. It's kind of what we're talking about with like TikTok censoring the word death and dying, and how it's kind of just like we shouldn't be afraid to talk about things that actually are happening in the world. Yeah. Not because it has to be like something that if you're uncomfortable or triggered, that's one thing, and you can like give trigger warnings. But if you literally mention the word dead, that's literally just a part of life and the life cycle. Like, it shouldn't be something that it's like,
especially on like
on
TikTok,
platforms where it's an adult, you know, there are adult spaces on there, and it's just
but also it's also helpful because
kids should talk about it too.
It's helpful too if someone is grieving, or even just like the fear of loss, and having people who understand that or are going through it or went through it. It's all helpful, like you said, like what you're saying, where it's like what helped you with your pets. And
You see?
And if you didn't have somebody who was talking about it, then you wouldn't have that experience. I feel like a lot whenever I share anything like with other people or even online. Of just like, if this can even like, again, help another person feel anything that's positive or different, or like it affects them in like a positive way, then that's worth it. It's like
very true. But this movie, I just think,
very emotional,
evoked a lot of things,
but it's also very uplifting. And then it ends. I mean, Casper
it really
goes back
does,
to being a ghost.
They literally are like, anyway, he goes back. It's the clock strikes 10. The mom goes away, of course, with like a night. You know, the clock strikes 10. He comes back to being a ghost, and then they have like a little. Everyone screams at him being a ghost, bolts the heck out of there, and then. Like the girl does one of the like flip,
she does like a front flip
like
over
they evacuate the dance floor,
and
literally.
They're like, well, not bad for my first party.
I know, and they're like, and then they're like, he's like, but it's not over yet, and they're just like dancing to the
and they sing the Casper,
the uncles play
ghost. But it sounds
and
like
then it's just like
Little Richard.
Little Richie.
It's like Little End.
Then it's like anyway.
Little End. The end.
Oh, Little Richard, not Little Richie. I always think of it because Lionel Richie.
I
used to literally in my head be like Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie, Little Richard.
But it's like then the end. I'm like, what? Oh, okay. I was like, that was it. But also, that was it.
And then it ended. Oh,
a big
my
fluff.
cat's fur is fluffing everywhere. My other cat, who did not knock down the light. Well, that was Casper. But yeah, should we rate this movie?
Yeah.
What are you looking at, Luna?
Girl.
She's like, hello, I love you. We're rating this movie. Okay. First, our scare. Well, you know what? We're not going to do the scary scale because, well,
it's just not scary. I mean, I think the only thing I said is there was one moment where the uncles did like a ooh thing, and I feel like I wouldn't have been scared of it as a kid, but I would have had a moment of like the parts coming up where they do the blah, blah, which is funny.
Okay, we're just going to rate this film from lowest to highest. Dusty, straight to DVD, airplane movie, stream it, plan your night around it, life-changing, and then the additional Hall of Fame that we can put it into.
This is hard, Stevie, because I don't know how to look at this. I don't know whether to look at it as something that I'm like, I can see why it's a classic, but also I don't have the same emotional attachment to it.
It's hard because you're seeing it with fresh eyes, and it's like,
but also
whereas with like Hocus Pocus or like, what was the one that we were like, Halloween Town?
Oh yeah,
like
we could understand if someone saw that out of context.
Have a nostalgic connection to it.
But then there was Casper too. Like I have a nostalgia in an adjacent
different way.
Yeah, it's like and I'm like I remember this, but not really. And then I remember everything about it feels like the actors, him and his other movie I used to watch.
This is hard for me too because I'm going between two.
Between two. Wait, let me guess. Because we have Plan Your Night Around It, then Life Changing, right?
Yes.
Is it between those two?
Yes.
Yeah. See, for me, I feel like I'm more like a borderline. Stream sounds insulting though to this. Mostly because it doesn't feel like that kind of movie.
I think it's higher than Stream It for sure. Obviously. I feel like
I can't say life-changing. I think mostly just because, not because I don't recognize that it could be.
Or iconic, I guess. Is the other thing
life-changing, iconic. I can see how, like, I mean, jokingly, I probably did say iconic when I was watching it. I was like, that's iconic.
Iconic.
You know what that is? Iconic.
It's hard, too, because, like, life-changing, I think sometimes these ratings are obviously, I think we rate more subjectively than we do, like, okay, objectively, it had good, like,
we're really going by our
it had good writing,
feeling.
It had blah, blah, blah. It's kind of a mix between that and, like, how we feel emotionally about things. That's kind of how I rate things, because it's like, what would I say to somebody?
Yeah, like, I
would
feel
say,
like I'm not going to
honestly,
be like,
I think Casper is something that everyone should watch.
Yeah, like we love talking
and I think
about
it holds
film.
up.
Yeah, we talk like there's obviously so much technical stuff to get into movies and things, and like, and I appreciate that from other creators, and we do it. But I think at the end of the day, we always are like, but also here's how did this make me feel? Yeah, how did art make me feel? And that's at the end of the day
that's what we do here.
That's it. And we'll
also
components of the other stuff in there. It's just that it's like
But then we also go about things of like, again, what kind of conversation do we have off of this, whether it's like mental health or like grieving or like love or like whatever it is. And it's like using these things as a jumping off point for like things that we experience in everyday life.
Yeah, like it's like how do we literally see ourselves in these films, in this like, it's like, wait a minute.
And you know what? It is that deep, okay? To us, it's that deep.
It is that deep.
Nobody
it's like,
says
it's
anything,
not that deep.
It's that
it's
deep.
like, actually, it is that deep, bestie. It is that deep.
It is that deep.
People do that. They're like, it is that deep.
And also, yeah, that's what we do here. It's fun.
Okay, I'm going to say, okay, hold on. Plan an iconic night around it. Beat the system.
Oh, she's between two.
I have a C. I think I would have to go.
We're just like this at the same.
We're just always winding it up. But if I...
Again, there's that TikTok we saw like 2 years ago or whatever.
It's like last year.
Last year.
When
Red
Taylor's version came out. But again, it's like us being like, and the rating is... I think I gotta go with a plan your night around it, but also like a delayed recognition of iconicness. It's just not something that has stuck with me in my life because it didn't.
Do you think now it will? Will you rewatch it?
I could see.
Do you think it's a yearly rewatch for you? Or maybe not yearly, but like...
I think if it was on,
will you carry
I would find
it with
comfort.
you now?
Yeah, I would find comfort if I saw it on TV. So maybe it is iconic.
A lot of iconic people.
Yeah, let's say
Christina
iconic.
Ricci,
It's because you're right. It's an option instead of
Bill Pullman.
Babe, love him. Christina Ricci. Okay, iconic.
I
won't say life-changing.
Listen,
iconic.
I understand that we have like 17 tiers to our rating system.
It's necessary.
And life-changing.
It's necessary.
Life-changing sometimes we interchange with iconic, but anyways.
But also Hall of Fame is
the
girls that get it, get it. And the girls that don't. The girls that grow. Deku.
So what do you... It's only ever Deku, even though other anime characters do it. Where I was like...
He does it so well, though.
Wait, do it the same already. No.
Wait, what?
Wait for me. Oh. I was like, do it at the same time.
1, 2. I can't. Hold on. Justin Briner is like, get on with it. Hold on. We love you, Justin. 1, 2, 3. Tag him.
Anyways, so you're saying iconic. I'm going to say...
do tell.
This movie did change my life, and I think that
it's your movie.
Like I said at the beginning of this movie, is that like when I watch this movie, I get this feeling that I can't describe, and then I was like, it's probably also because I feel this way about Hocus Pocus too, but almost different, almost like more personal, in a way that I'm just like, this is my movie. It's not my movie. Everybody,
no, but you talking about like all the time.
but also. I don't know. Clearly, it's one of my favorite movies, which I never really gave it that title.
I never hear people talking about that, and you
see when you say that, that's insulting to me.
Yeah, I mean,
not to me,
enough.
but I feel like how dare people not talk about this movie?
You know,
it's great.
Yeah, it is good. It's literally you talking about Home Alone. It's literally you and Home Alone 3.
I love Home Alone 3.
You're literally like, what do you mean?
Like I said before, if you are out here talking about how Home Alone 3 sucks, blah blah blah, spit my mouth, whatever.
I can't. Oh my god.
I was gonna say Home Alone 3 sucks. No.
I think it's literally...
When's the last time you actually saw it?
I think it's because people assume that they recast him, and that's not... It's not what they did. It's not a Halloween Town 4 situation.
Don't come to me with Home Alone 4.
Wait, hold on. What was it that he...
No one's going to understand the spit in my mouth thing. I was just saying it in the same way.
What was the thing that he says? I really appreciated it when you hit me with your van.
He's like, I can't...
Thank you enough.
I can't thank you enough for hitting me with the van.
Like, what an incredible delivery.
Anyway... Don't knock it until you rewatch it, okay? Because that movie, Scarlett Johansson's in it.
It's really good.
Alex D. Lynn.
He's adorable. It's a good movie. That's my son.
It's a great movie.
That's my son. You see?
Dare I put this in the Hall of Fame? You know what?
I knew you were
putting it in the Hall of Fame.
It's literally
I'm putting it in the Mansion of Fame.
Yeah, there you go.
Their fame.
There you
Their
go.
fame. Their mansion. Anyway.
So,
guys,
see, that was right. That felt right.
I love that. Mm-hmm. I love it. I love that for that movie. I love that
love
for
that
me.
for it. Love that for you. Love it. Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
I was so ahead of like,
she was ready.
Okay.
You were ready
guys,
for it.
Thank you for being here. Happy Halloween.
Woo!
But again, it's always Halloween here under the bed where we reside. So I hope you have a great Halloween. I hope you, had or have. Yes. Anyway, guys, thank you for being here. Follow us on all of our socials, on Instagram, From Under the Bed, on Twitter, FUTB Podcast. We have a website, FromunderTheBedPodcast.com.
We're under the podcast.
We have a contact form on there. Send us what movie you would like us to cover, episode of a show, content, spooky stuff. And then our email is FromunderTheBedPodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, I think that's it. Our TikTok is From Under the Bed Pod.
Yeah.
Follow us on there. We're funny. We're funny people. And if you're not watching us on YouTube right now, we are on YouTube. Just look up.
Apologies if my eyes were fluttering in this because it is 1 a.m.
It's 1 a.m. This is how we are. We're night birds.
Unfortunately.
We're night owls.
I probably need to get more sleep, but I apologize. But also, love us.
But also, From Under the Bed Podcast, search that if you want to watch our YouTube.
Yeah.
Watch this episode. Why not watch our faces when the cat pushed the lamp over?
You're going to want to see that.
You're
going to be so curious. You're going to like the way you look.
Stop.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say that. Anyway. All right. Bye, guys.
The end. Have it spelled out.
End.